Hey, listen, man, if my voice.
And we're live. Hello and welcome to the first episode of McDonald's Theory Gang. I'm your host, Matty Allen, employee number 2,369,555, with ChrispyMan of HexFire.io and Brisology. Welcome.
5 million likes served worldwide.
Mm,
That's right.
I brought home my work uniform. So I saw that
I'm loving it.
The
I
whole
didn't
show
get
should just be puns, McDonald puns.
I didn't get the memo on this stuff, so I just brought my genius hat with me. It says genius right there.
What kind of
Digging
hat is
it.
that?
It's my
It's a St.
genius hat.
Patrick's Day hat.
It's my Guinness. My Guinness.
So guys, how's it going? How are you guys feeling? Are you guys doing okay?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing.
Did something
fantastic.
happen? Should I be concerned?
Coping.
Nah.
He's just coping. I don't know. What are you thinking? You thinking about the dip?
I'm just I every time I see a dip in the market, I go over to the coin listing sites, and I just go, all right, let's see what else is down. And then yep, everything else tends to be down. Bitcoin is down, Ethereum is down, everything is in the red. I saw from Watcher Guru something like over $600 million was liquidated from the market, the entire crypto market. So, I just wanted to help calm the nerves of everybody if I could and just go, don't worry about it. It's not the end of Hex. It's not the end of the pulse chain. We're going to be fine. And every time there's bad news, I can point to a tweet and I'll tell you that did it. That wrecked us. It was that tweet right there.
I just look for tweets from you. That's what did it.
Thank
Well,
you. I
Hey,
try to make mostly positive tweets.
You do. Hey, you know what? On this whole dips thing, I'll internalize it, say it to myself. Uh, First off, crypto's not for everybody. It's risky. It can all go to zero. Yeah, I guess some people think it's okay to invest more than they can afford to lose, but we know you could lose. And then we talk about volatility, and having great volatility provides great opportunity. Well, volatility means price go up and down. And then we say dips are in the game, but every time there's a dip, my little muscle clenches up, right? And I have to remind myself, hey, you know what a dip is? A dip is when the price goes down 60, 70, 80%. That's a dip. And then, yeah, so this is all kind of normal as much as we don't like it. And I can't figure out if all the people I see posting are really that new or they're deliberately, fighting just because they want to fight.
tonight's episode, I think, could end up being particularly spicy, which I think people will hopefully appreciate. There is one pressing matter. We have 155 people watching. We want you to hit the like and subscribe button. The Trezor Twitter account was hacked this evening and has posted something that is a phishing attempt. So the official Trezor X account on X is it's been compromised. Do not click the links. Do not try to claim the airdrop. We all love airdrops around here, as far as I know, but that one will steal all your funds. So it's really important. I've always supported a Trezor over Ledger. But just because they tweet something from their account doesn't mean that I'm going to click on links that I'm not supposed to. And shout out to Papa B and his group at B9.xyz that were some of the first to post about this problem that I saw. And yeah, so everybody should be careful of that.
I'd like to say that with morale kind of down in the dumps and us being as close as ever to the bull market cycle, like really get into its peak euphoria, probably the next year and a half to 2 years. But these times, the scammers are going to start coming out. Excuse me, and they're going to start making a lot of meme coins and other things. And I just want to just kind of like let everyone just know, hey, just be careful. Be careful out there. You're going to see a lot of new stuff coming out right around this time, and a lot of just like links and everything else. And just be careful not to get scammed at this point in the game.
Hit the likes, not the links.
That's right.
We've got a special guest. I think he's ready to come on.
Really?
Future us.
It's us of the future.
Oh, hi.
Howdy.
How you doing? I
The
wasn't
legend returns.
I'm still trying to get logged into StreamYard. It won't let me log in, so all my backgrounds are gone, but whatever. It's just another brick in the wall, eh?
Just another brick in the wall.
Hey,
How's
how
it
you doing,
going?
guys?
How are you? Are you weathering the storm?
Am I weathering the storm? I've departed. I got on my spaceship and flew away. I'm out.
But you came back.
Well, I mean, still got friends, right? Just because I'm not in the system anymore, gotta hang with the peeps.
You're off grid.
Yeah.
Fly away.
Well, yeah, we've got a lot of friendships here, and also we've got difference of opinions. So that's part of what makes this show strong.
Yeah. Today, I think I'd like to bring the emotional meltdown. You guys are doing all the rational stuff with your varying views and all that sort of thing, but I think there's probably people watching that could use a bit of empathy with the old emotional meltdown. So that's me, man, because I'm totally melted down. So
Let it out. Trauma dump on us.
Oh no, I don't want to fud your coins, man. That's not what we're here for.
It's all right. Our coins are unfuddable.
Oh, well, that's good.
I am unfuddable.
Not even worth trying, man. Yeah. Nah, it's just is what it is. So I didn't know that Trezor had the Trezor website, eh? Is that still
just their Twitter account? Yeah.
Oh, their Twitter account.
It was posting multiple phishing attempts, and then like posting below the attempt saying like, we've disabled comments because of so much phishing. The phishers posted that.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Man, they had a really good run, Trezor, with no hacks or compromises that I'm aware of. And
yeah, I mean,
one other one semi recently.
Their support email list got hacked. So yeah, and we should point out that there's a difference between like the actual hardware device and how it operates with the blockchain versus these ancillary web products.
Yeah. I mean, your Trezor is good to go. Don't leave it plugged in all the time because it wastes electricity. Otherwise, it's fine.
Unless you're trading all the time.
Yeah, I'm not sure I'd recommend trading with a Trezor either. But,
okay.
I mean, I wouldn't recommend trading with MetaMask or Ruby Wallet or Ledger. I kind of don't recommend trading, actually, come to think of it. So, yeah.
Ooh, 43OG's got a good one here. The Trezor Twitter account needed multi-sig.
Didn't it indeed? Is that
or time pays me?
2FA. I've never figured out what the FA is supposed to stand for in 2FA, but apparently you're supposed to do that.
Two-factor authentication.
Oh, yeah, that sounds much better. I thought it might have been something else. Very good. Yes, do that. That's good. It's very good. I hope my red brick wall isn't too offensive.
I'm a little offended, but I'll deal with it. Don't worry.
Kind of looks like you're in prison or school or something.
Oh, works. I mean, it's just the
Looks
first
like
one.
we've lined you up. Like, this is the guy.
So I mean, so for
bullseye here.
I guess so for people who don't know, Future Us used to be the fourth regular person on Quant Gang, which was the show that went for about a year before this show started. So it was every Tuesday night. We had Kareem and Wales only, myself, and then every once in a while we'd be blessed with an appearance from Future Us.
Around about the time I showed up, the show wasn't popular enough anymore or something, so we had to change the name.
No, that's when it peaked out. Yeah.
I left on a high.
Yeah, exactly.
ChrispyMan, I'm not sure if I specifically said hello to you, good friend. How are you?
I'm well, my friend. How are you?
You look good.
I was having a hell of a bad cold the last week, though, boy. Whew.
Oh,
doing better now.
Yeah.
Glad you're feeling better.
It was that Vegas crud, man.
Yeah. Vegas crud. So like not green candles, but plenty of green, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, that wasn't funny.
Well, I don't know. I could describe the color green to you, but it was pretty terrible.
Oh dear.
So are we going to argue about what happened or what?
Well, I'm not sure what you want to argue about. What do you want to argue about? Did I lose you?
I want to. Well, it seems like the community has gotten split over the hex fork, so to speak, and just today or yesterday we saw the Maxi gentlemen. They have jettisoned off into another blockchain. They're building on Solana now because they don't like how Richard handled eHex or how the community handled it or whatever. There's a lot of finger pointing, and of course, when you point one finger at somebody else, you have three pointing right back at you.
The truth did not need to be said, Richard. Just keep your trap shut. Let the truth just do its thing, man. You didn't need to say it. I mean, come on. Well, just because it's true.
I don't just because it was true. I don't know. I was talking to these guys just for a moment in the green room. So I was hit. I reacted pretty emotionally.
I did.
Because I was meaning. Okay, he comes out, states the obvious, right? And I've been watching the market and kind of playing this whole the market's going to decide game, and price immediately dumps. I have no access to anything. I'm in crypto Vegas.
Yeah.
Right? So I just clenched. it just held out for the ride down, and so then I had to process it for a couple of days. And I mean, I could definitely provide my own cope that I got copies of everything, because I was here beforehand. But then a lot of people didn't, and I feel for those people. But I'll get to the end here. I've come to strongly believe that Richard Hart and his team had been watching what's going on, and they had decided that in the very near future, it was probably going to be that, at least temporarily, the staking mechanism for most people is going to be broken on eHex, meaning that it'd just be too expensive to transact. And he felt that it was responsible to tell people it was expensive, because if he didn't tell people it was expensive to transact on ETH and to concentrate on the hex, then when everybody figured it out, it would be a whole different argument going on about why nobody ever told you. But now you know, and people decided what they wanted to do. And the evidence for that is because I watch it anyways. I just hadn't gone into this detail. The evidence of that is I'm seeing well over half of the stakes now are worth less than the gas it's going to take to unstake them. It just takes one double.
I wonder why.
Yeah, but I mean, it only takes one double on Ethereum though And if what happens with Ethereum happens, what I think might happen with it, where it goes to 12 to 20K over future months, and then potentially, right, all the way up to 30, and then some of the crazy tinfoil hat ideas, it's going to go over six figures. It would mean that all those people that put money in now, or put value now into eHex, in the staking protocol, smaller players, medium-sized players, they might not be able to get any value out, and that would be a tragedy to not bring it up, right? So that's my 2 cents for how I'm coping with
And
the whole
even
thing.
then, even then, if they just try and transfer, like, I'm not sure exactly what the cost is right now, but just the other day, just to make a swap, it was like $95 just to make a swap, and it's like, all right, well, how much do you need to have to minimize that $95 fee?
I paid $9 to send $60 of USDC today.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just to send from wallet to wallet.
Or
Is that what yeah.
We could cry over spilt milk, and we could ask questions like, well, if we hadn't abandoned Hex in the first place and created this whole pulse chain thing and split the value 4 ways, when there were at least a dozen other ways it could have been fixed on Ethereum or Binance Chain or Solana or just about anywhere else, and if we hadn't done any of that and basically destroyed the price of Hex such that we could never afford to pay the damn gas fees in the first place, and by the way, I lost a whole bunch more in just a couple of days than all the gas I ever would have had to pay to end all of those stakes. I'm just saying. But that's silly.
Yeah, and I
mean, not reality. I mean, we just got to move on, right?
You and I talk very often, and over the years, I have heard you come up with like points of how Hex could have been coded to not have the same problem.
Hex, I love Hex. I still love Hex. In principle, the way there's nothing wrong intrinsically with the way it's coded, in my opinion. It ran into a problem with the fee thing on Ethereum, which was exacerbated by the fact that it needs this S-load function, yada, yada. And yeah, that could have been done different. If I could go back in time and, I don't know, chain Rich it up and tell him bad jokes until he submitted to doing things my way or something, I might have tried to make him fix the problem some way other than launching a whole new chain. But that, again, is also silliness, right? Like, why would that have worked any different? It's like there's so many. That's why I'm calling it crying over spilt milk, right? It's like my brain is coming up with all these, if only this, if only that, if we'd done it different. But I mean, at the time, no one can predict the future, right? So this is rational me kind of arguing with emotional me, and it's damn difficult. I guess by way of disclosure, I've never been, I've never really been anti-pulse chain, but I hated that we even had to do it in the first place. And I don't believe we did have to do it. Well, we didn't do it. Richard did it. He's trying to build something. We don't know what anymore because he's kind of got this gag order on him. And so we have to guess. And that's no different than, it's just so confusing. I mean, none of this is any different to the rest of crypto market. No one ever knows what's going to happen or what people's motives or plans are or how the market's going to see things. And then regarding the recent tweet and all that, I mean,
did you think getting rich was going to be easy? Come on.
No, it was always a lottery, right? And that's the thing. It's always been a lottery.
This is the trials and tribulations.
But I didn't personally get in at the damn thing to get rich. I got into it because Hex represented, I mean, what was it? What is it? It's consensus code locked in a smart contract that can't be corrupted, right? That's what I liked about it. It had an additional utility over and above that we called staking, or yield chasing, as some people are calling it now, which was the icing on the cake. But I fully bought into and still believe in the idea that it's a better Bitcoin. And
Oh yeah,
there's
100%.
you could say that about just about any token, I guess. I mean, it needs the yield thing because you've got to have the, I think, the analog for the mining, which is why we call it mining now.
Mm-hmm.
But the reality is that at the moment the market doesn't give a crap. It just doesn't care. And I mean the greater market, not just us true to the core hexagons or whatever.
I think you and Johnny have had like very similar thoughts. You and Johnny Chaos, and like I get way better. Like it's easier to hear your guys' point of view than, let's say, somebody who only holds liquid coins and only ever held liquid coins and seems to be flip-flopping back and forth, trading, and I don't know if they're profiting off of getting the crowd to move through the different stages of emotions and stuff like that. But yeah, I think that it's way easier hearing it from people who have been here for years and years and who are time locked into the future. This discontent with how eHex is going, basically. So maybe you can speak more to that.
Just to finish it, yeah, because like it's not just the contract, it's not just the code, it's not just how it was implemented, it's the whole package, right? It's the ethos that came along with it, the leadership that came with it, the ethos that was broadcast and popularized through that. Not your keys, not your coins, and everything that went with that. The incorruptibility of it, just the whole thing, the whole social consensus thing, and all of that is at an all-time low. To me, it feels like it's all but dead. It's an ember glowing, a candle in the winter. Right now. I'm not saying it's dead, but boy,
the community is pissed. There's a lot of people who've said they're not onboarding anymore. There's a lot of people who've said that.
Yeah. We're a long way away from that core. And, I mean, you could go, oh, the leader let us down. Or you could say, well, we should never have needed a leader in the first place. I thought this was supposed to be open and decentralized and yada, yada. And, and we used to do a wonderful job of promoting Hex against all odds. Maybe it got too easy with Pulse Chain. Maybe, Greg the Duck's going to come and pump all our bags. We can just sit around and do nothing now. Maybe that's where we lost the plot. I don't know what happened. But I do know that the story is far from over. So it's just, yeah, we're as a community at a philosophical level, I think we're kind of lost. I know I am. Lost, disjointed, somewhat divided, but it's a phase. It has to be a phase because the community clearly still exists, is still strong. We're still talking to each other, even me, which is
something. It just changes the game dynamics over the next few years. They could. I feel pretty strongly that I feel pretty strongly under the right circumstances, right? We could see some pretty high prices for eHex and high valuations. And if the gas gets fixed, just think about how that may turn out to be for us. Yeah. So there's some very strong positive things out there. I mean, and there's a lot of people. I talked to 3 people in the last 2 days that picked up 100 million eHex. Roughly.
What?
And so people are buying it off the market at these prices. So
100 million eHex?
Yeah, I'm not even joking. And so
wow.
And that's multiple people, right? That I know have done that. So it's alive and well from a narrative perspective. It's certainly alive and well from I guess you would call it trading, speculation, perspective. But again, for the use case it was designed for, right at the moment, it's not going to work for me. I can't. They're not going to work for me to use it for the use case. I mean, I have my miners. I'm not going to end the rest of my miners. But because what purpose would that be? I would.
No, emergency instinct makes no sense.
And so I'll just wait.
Yeah, there's some. I mean, anything. I mean, in crypto, massive things can happen in a day, and a lot of our stakes still have years to go. So anything could happen. Ending stakes, even taking a stance of not making new stakes, is probably erring on the side of folly, given the potential upside. The potential upside is absolutely huge, but there's an enormous amount of noise and crap to get through in the meantime. that we're just going to have to grin and bear it and navigate. Full disclosure, I am personally completely out of everything at the moment, just so as you know. I'm not advising that anyone else do that. I think it's probably folly, probably stupid. Prices could pump at any minute, and I'm going to miss out.
That's a bold move, Cotton. Let's see how it works out.
I did it for sanity, not riches. It's just too hard.
Yeah,
for me,
if you need to take some of that money off the table so you can sleep at night,
and I'm leveraged.
That's what you need to do.
Yeah. So again, in context, in part of that disclosure, and everything I had in liquid was leveraged, all of it. It's all borrowed. So
you're like the real Mikey from the documentary, like Mikey in the documentary. So Mikey in the documentary had sold his extra house and put that money into like PulseX, and
what was left over in between the sale and the buy. Yeah, they had a bit left over. So
so
I mean, I leveraged up a long time ago. Not like on a centralized exchange or anything stupid like that, but I've paid. I think it's just over about $15,000 in interest since I took that loan out, and not seen any gains for it yet. It was a bad move. It was a really stupid move. I thought at the time that we were far enough beyond euphoria and far enough down in the bear market, and I had an opportunity to take the loan that I wouldn't have been able to do a couple of months later, and I certainly couldn't do before, just because of complex personal, family situations. So I took the opportunity, and then it's been years now. Now, yeah, I mean, it's just obviously I wouldn't have done it if we couldn't afford it, and if I never see that money again, we're going to be okay. Everything's fine. But it radically changes the attitude that one sort of responsibly has to have in terms of like, whose money is that you've actually got at risk? Is it yours or is it the bank's? If it were my money, my savings and everything, I'd be letting it ride, no question. But sometimes you've just got to, I don't know, man, social consensus level. my social standing with the bank manager will fall into even worse repute if I demonstrate negligence through lack of action in a descending market. But anyway, that's the personal situation, and I only say it for disclosure to add to the part that right now I'm just hit the brakes. I'm out of everything, and I think we're probably going to go into that year-long sideways sort of post. Freaking not financial advice, but who knows, post-halvening thing, who knows. But that's not why I did it. That's not why I'm out. I'm out because I can't see straight right now. I can't make any predictions, and I'm not in a gambling mood at the moment. So yeah, I bet I'm not the only one.
I took a loan out recently.
Yeah. Did you need more McDonald's or to buy that hat?
I used it with the earn protocol, and then I got a loan in the PXDC, and then I stuck it into a farm on PulseX, and then I was using the yield to pay back the farm, but the PXDC kept depegging. I'm like, this seems like a good opportunity to pay back the loan at a discount. and so I bought up the discounted PXDC and started paying back down the loan, and yeah, so
That's cool, man. That sounds like a fun version of what I did. Sounds like you were using DeFi.
yeah,
I was using
DeFi.
TradFi, and it's not the same game. Let me tell you.
And here's the deal. I don't want to like make you feel bad, but the fee
Where should I already do?
half of 1%. So that means there's $100 for every 20,000 you take out. That's the fee.
So, bad. I mean, one observation I'll make is that I've been looking to Steph for my ETH predictions because the man has gotten it right. He called the top on the day and tweeted, "This is the top. See ya." On the day. It was not like a mysterious, like maybe it is, maybe it isn't. Like he has the tweet on the day for Bitcoin for last cycle, 2021.
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
And then he got it down to the hour in this most recent local top for Ethereum. He posted on the hour what Ethereum was going to top out at and where he thought it was going next. And so it's like, at some point I'm just like, okay, I'm going to go with the person who keeps calling it correct over and over and over again.
Is this the same Steph that has that thick brother who's an alien with the time machine?
It must be.
Must be.
What's his long term?
Making the tops?
What's his long term numbers?
He indicated something that he doesn't own Bitcoin anymore and hasn't since like 2015. So I think basically what he keeps posting is that he thinks we're going to go down to 50K in Bitcoin and then go up from there.
Well, that would be roughly what the last three cycles have done. The last three halvening events have brought about, which don't necessarily line up with the cycles, but it's pretty close actually. But yeah, we usually see this run up to front run the halvening for, I don't exactly know why. And then just before the actual halvening, it rolls out over the top and then we drop in Bitcoin sort of 40% or something. I'm just off the top of my head. I'm not looking at charts and it's been so long since I frankly gave a damn.
If you don't mind, I kind of wanted to mention this when you brought it up earlier. I was actually incredibly surprised that we went into like a full-blown bull market like from like January until now, because typically after Christmas time and like marketing sales like kind of dip down, the markets drop down, and like January, February, the first quarter is usually kind of like a cool down period, and we had this like raging market, and now I kind of feel like maybe that cool down period is gonna hit now.
I think it's just because the halvening narrative was so strong. Everyone was talking halvening, and so there was a lot more front running and the ETF and all that. So I think a lot more people wanted to not miss the halvening thing, which usually I wouldn't have expected prices in Bitcoin to start to run up until late March, late mid-March, I guess, late February, mid-March, and then do the little final run up like a week before the halvening, and everything's just kind of been compressed back sooner than normal. And I think we've rolled out just a little bit sooner than normal.
Triangulated.
Yeah. I think it's everyone just trying to front run what's happened the last three halvings. It's just that.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I mean, I still think crypto has like a super bright future. I think that if the Fed is going to make their decision, I mean, that's really what creates liquidity and the entire, monetary system is the Federal Reserve. And typically when they lower rates, then the market dips and then blasts off to a new all-time high. So, we might be seeing in the next 3 to 9 months, we might see a crash continuing in Ethereum and Bitcoin, and then we might see back up to new all-time highs in both of those within the next 6 to 12 months. So for me, I'm going to be DCAing red candles and following Steph's tweets and any other like major indicators from the Federal Reserve and stuff like that, I think make a lot of sense. In terms of like somebody's asking like, so do we keep hex or move it to phex? I can tell you now more than ever, I have no idea what's going to happen in hex, in eHex specifically, because you know, I think that this narrative that like Richard killed it, I think that that's overblown and like beyond how I would describe it.
Well, that's no.
But if that's how people are describing it,
He said
what I would say.
He said
So
hex is better on pulse chain. Like
Yeah.
its function performs better on pulse chain is what he said. But
and then it was
chart
Sami,
was saying
and then
hex dead,
and then yeah,
two-
Sami amplified this into like he murdered his firstborn. Okay, and so now I've got to
he
deal with
should've
this
done it in secret. He
imagery
didn't have
of
to
like
come out.
dead
Oh.
children, and so specifically, I want to say, if the child keeps getting back up like a zombie, I don't know what Richard or the rest of the community is going to do. I don't know if they're going to keep shooting it or what. But if this turns into a zombie apocalypse, you know, I can't tell you other than I'm staked long term. I'm still here. Hex isn't going anywhere. I like Hex on all chains. I lost when I bet on Hex on other chains like Ethereum Fair and Ethereum POW. And I was happy to do that because I wanted to know if Hex could be valuable on more than one chain. So if you want to know if Hex can be valuable on more than one chain and you want to reap the rewards of everybody else scratching their head, then, you know, now might be a good time to, you know, to see how that goes from a DCA perspective, you know, and not financial advice, but it's,
and real
you know,
quick,
I think
real
we're all
quick,
down
future
so
us, I just want to just say, and right now, you know, the morale is down so much. You're going to hear little fudsters everywhere saying that everything is dead. You know, the pulse chain is dead. You know, again, just like you were saying, Futurist, we might go through another like 3 months or more of like
All
a
further
sideways market, or maybe even a little bit downtrending.
We're
And you're going to
already
hear
down so
fudsters
far.
telling you everything's
Yeah.
dead.
Yeah,
But
you're going to
just
get
gotta,
that.
You got to roll through this.
Don't sell red. I mean, a week
Buy
ago,
red.
it might have been a coin toss. Today, it's like, well, we're so far in the red now, you'd be crazy to sell, even if it's the best thing to do. I mean, you know, it's like just, well, it's short-term, long-term mindset as well, right? Like if you're in a situation in your life where you feel you need to cut your losses and run, well, I guess just do that. But if you're in this thing for the long haul, selling red seldom ever works out. So just leave it there.
And
in terms of selling it to move it across to
it's
the
up
other
to
chain,
you guys. It's up to you guys.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. I mean, none of this is advice. It's just
we can't tell you.
Just echoing what people are already churning over in their minds, I'm sure. But yeah, in terms of whether you'd sell one to move over to the other one, I don't know. I mean, the focus just isn't even on Hex at the moment, the way I see it. Just don't do anything with it. Just leave all Hex where Hex be. And the market seems to be caring about PLSX and Pulse and Ink and all this other stuff. So maybe pay some attention now. I don't know.
I mean, another thing that you can do is you can play it out in your mind. What if Hex goes down another 90%? Either one, or just one or the other. How does that make you feel? What if it goes up 10x from here? How does that make you feel? And then try to find some middle ground is what I do, which is like, I'm prepared for both scenarios. I'm prepared for the things that I'm holding to go down more than I think that they can or should. And I'm prepared for them to go up more than they can or should.
I think the thing, crypto or any financial market, and the crypto market is a market that has brought financial instruments into an arena where the average, not so wealthy person who hasn't got a whatever thingy license and all that, we get to play around with price charts and all that kind of thing. And I think what it mostly teaches us at the end of the day is that it's not a short-term game. It's just not. You will get wrecked. If you have any hopes or expectations down, up, sideways for the next week, you're wrong 99.999% of the time. So it's a case of it, and it's not even a case of picking a horse and then backing that horse. Really, it's just because you don't know what's going to happen to that horse. It could break a leg in the blimmin' starting gate, or all the other horses can do it in crypto, and then you're the only horse. They just the crazy stuff that happens within the time frame of just a day or a week or a month or even a year. It's just The more and more I'm involved in it, the more and more I realize painfully that what I thought was a long time horizon needs to get longer if I'm going to win in the end on average, if I'm going to have the averages and all the noise average out. So yeah, doing anything rash like right now today because you see something on the chart.
Just remember, the whole market is down. Bitcoin and Ethereum is down. The Hexagon infighting did not take down Bitcoin. It didn't take down Ethereum, and we got a real sack daddy called BlackRock who just put in 100 million into ETH today into a fund.
Thanks, Uncle Larry.
Thank you, Uncle Larry.
That's all they could come up with, a lousy 100 million.
And that money is going to splash over into all things Ethereum and everything else. So I just wouldn't worry about this space in the long run. We're all going to be fine.
And if the cycles play out the way they have in the past, then we won't expect the big crazy runoff euphoria until the end of 2025. That's the reality. If it goes the way it's gone in the past, so we're still a year away from that, and we're more than a year away from that. We're 18 months away from that. So,
can't you just give me a day in the future when I'm supposed to buy and a day in the future when I'm supposed to sell, and just make that the exact bottom and top?
I can do that. $1 million each. I'll send you my bank account details.
We got Johnny Cass in the chat. Welcome, Johnny.
Hey, Johnny. Keep the faith, Johnny. Someone's got to.
And when Hex goes up, the liquidity bonding is going to drag eHex. Even if it was 100 to 1, at $1 PHEX, you'll have at least a penny eHex.
When it goes
I
up,
I honestly don't think it will probably be 100 to 1. It's like 5 to 1 right now. So if it goes up to $1, that means you're gonna have like 20-cent eHex. And it's up to you what you want to do with that value at that particular time. Hopefully it's feasible to move it on Ethereum. I'm sure it will be. I mean, it's a freaking like 40x from here. So
why you fudding? Why you fudding?
Yeah.
Why you fudding, man?
I gotta be a little bit meaner.
Yeah.
But
I think there are some great things on the horizon.
When you're down 90%, you can double your holdings with 1/10 the amount, right? So again, do you believe in any future for it or not? You just gotta decide individually.
Yeah. Well, listen, $1 to $2 is in the game. It always has been in the game. And it always sounds trite to say it. It really comes down to the community not selling for the price to go up. But then, of course, somebody's going to sell and the price will go down. So it's just how long does this go on, And the dirty little secret behind all this that all of us like to not mention all the time, but Richard has also plainly mentioned, is the way that you obtain value is from people buying highs and selling lows. So that's how that value transfer takes place within crypto at this time. So I'm here for the entertainment primarily. in the community, because that's really the value that I'm trading off, right? For that.
I'm here for the memes.
I mean, adoption also creates value, and people using something as a store of value also creates value as well.
As a form of community, sure. I think in relation to that, I agree with you on that point. I mean, Yeah. It comes down to that what do you consider value to be? Is value the number of dollars, the amount of fiat you can get back, or is value the experience, And
It's
now clear,
dollars.
yeah, well, that's the opposite of what you just said, right? So, because if it's
Well,
dollars,
what I'm saying is like the float of a monetary instrument is so basically like like you have dumb pipes, right, that we've talked about in the past. But if everybody in the world got into one crypto for 2 years and they did it on a different they did it at different times, then there would be a certain value that was created for everybody out of thin air, because there's a 4D time element to it. And so that's specifically what I mean when I say that it's more than just people losing or winning in trading, is that there's this other element of the storage of value over time. And that's, with any asset.
really.
I don't know, man. I think we just need to put all of the Shiba Inus in the world into some kind of a retraining camp and get their minds straight, because they lost the plot. I mean, basically, SHIB just went crazy last cycle, and now everybody's into meme coins because it did a 16,000x or whatever the heck it did. I think it's just that. I mean, all this other stuff's really interesting.
My SHIB experiment,
but it's all about the
SHIB
dog.
experiment's going pretty good this year.
Yeah.
Actually,
I railed against meme coins last cycle. I hated meme coins. I still kind of hate them. They've kind of beaten me into submission. Sort of. Like, I'm okay for them to exist now. I'm still not sure I want to buy any, but and then they started talking about at the end of the last cycle about how maybe Hex is just a meme coin, and oh man, I didn't know I could get that hot under the collar.
I keep getting invited on a crypto banters podcast, the one on Twitter Spaces, and they've miscategorized me as a meme coin expert. And so they like don't read my message when I message them back. Like, I don't talk about that. I mean, it's been like 8 times they've messaged me like, hey, do you want to talk at this time on meme coins? And then I'm like literally like looking up in the conversation, like, I've just told you 6 times that I don't. So this time I was like, yeah, I do. Yeah. I do want to come on and talk about meme coins.
Talk about the meme coin Hex.
Ink.
There you go.
I mean, basically,
so yeah. What do I say, guys?
It's a meme coin with utility.
Which one? I heard the crowd shout 2 different things.
Ink is the meme coin.
Brisology wants ink.
Talk about them,
Crispy.
Both. They're both meme coins. Talk about them both.
Okay. I should probably touch on Hex, because that's like my Twitter logo.
The entire crypto space is a meme right now. It probably always has been.
I don't know. What are the just thinking offhand, what's your instant response? Ink to $1,000 or eHex to $2? Which one?
Whatever.
Sounds pretty equal to me.
Yeah, it sounds equal to me too.
Honestly,
I think
it's like the general consensus right now is that Hex will probably run up to at least $2. At least $1 and up to
$2. Come on, man. The day the Hexagon community dropped the $10.01 Hex line that was the beginning of the end. It was always $10.01. What is this ridiculous $2, $1?
I remember when it was $7. I remember $7.
If we don't go to $10.01 before I rage
on that one
again, then I'll eat my Doge hat.
Well, people had to move the goalposts because originally it was 1 cent.
Yeah.
Originally that was the stretch goal. Right.
But you never lower a goal. We had $10.01. You never lower a goal.
Well, it was higher. It was lower. So Hexologist said $2. He said, every day look yourself in the mirror and say $2. $2 Hex, right? And then Abit said $7. Okay. And so that was like way higher than anybody ever said. And then I don't remember who said $10, but
it's kind of like psychological conditioning. If you think it enough, you're going to be like, when it gets near there, you're gonna be like, of course it got this high. I wonder how much higher it could go.
Yeah. When you lower the goal, it makes the chart go lower. There you go. Quote me on
Looks
that.
like we have another.
I mean, the
guest,
evidence is
Maddie.
right there. We lowered the goal and the chart went down. So, hello.
We got
yeah,
another
you know,
McDonald's employee joining
Uh-oh.
us here.
That makes sense.
Hey,
for us.
what's up,
Hey,
fellas?
Toby.
How's it
How's it
going?
going?
Welcome.
Obi
Good.
Hex
Just
Toby one.
dude, I'm glad it's not smell-o-vision because I smell like the deep fryer. I was on fries tonight. It's rough.
Hey. Yeah, man. Like, true story.
Don't
The
fall
U.S.
in.
government is starting to write legislation about McDonald's ice cream repair machines.
I saw that.
No way.
You guys see that? Yeah. Because like there's so many laws in different places that say like you're not allowed to just hire anybody to fix the ice cream machine. And so the federal government came out and said, we want to change this. So
Well, there's an
People
element
can
of
fix the ice
expectation
cream.
in there. So I'm surprised the SEC isn't all over it.
right?
I expect to have a milkshake when I want it. That's all I'm expecting. If it's on the menu, bro.
Well,
Without-
we got a
without-
shakeout right
without
now.
milk,
Have
without
you
milk.
heard?
Without milk.
A chocolate shakeout.
It's a 50-week variety.
Oh man, things are getting real
Dude.
frothy in here now.
I'm telling you, right? Oh, the puns. Where's Crypto Vince when you need him? The king of puns.
Okay.
Oh, it's funny.
Cool it down. Add some ice. Come on.
Yeah, it's been a wild one. It's I almost changed my name to Tobiwan Hexobi, but it's too on the nose.
I can
Tobiwan
cook all day.
Hexobi.
Yeah, no doubt. Right? Yeah.
So,
that's all good. I'm earning
I
my
just
yield.
want to throw this out there, and I want to hear from you guys. Like, the title of the show, Cope equals WAGMI, is like, I didn't know that Cope was a bad thing. When I bought the top in Bitcoin, my first cycle, I needed crypto YouTubers to give me Cope. And if I didn't get the Cope that I got, then I wouldn't be here. And I wouldn't be, like...
Wait. Cope is a bad thing?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought
Yeah,
not.
we're dopamine dealers because we tell people everything's going to be okay.
Right.
And I don't think that's true. I think that people need Cope, and if you don't have it, then you're less likely to make it than if you're just giving up at the first struggle or the first red candle.
Totally. It's like I think it's kind of it's an interesting dynamic to watch unfold because it's like, if you get knocked down once, most people, I think if they have the will, they can get up once, right? But it's like if you get knocked down and then you get a little bit of hopium, there's like, the charts are looking good, you're feeling good, there's some positive news, and you get knocked down again. It's like each time I feel like it's a little harder for people to get back up. It's harder for them to find that hope again. So, I mean, personally, I'm ride or die. I made that commitment a long time ago. So I've not gotten even close to being fudded out of my bags. But I can understand why there's some people, it's just like they've just been beat down so many times and they get that glimmer of hope and then wham, it's another big dump. And especially if this is their first cycle, like if they've been around since the first cycle and they made it through that, then I think they were probably more resilient in this one, even though this has definitely had its nuances that are unique. But yeah, if this is their first cycle and it's like, I was literally like not yelling at the screen, but talking to the screen. I watched Sami earlier today and it was like, dude, it's like, that this is what happens every cycle. Bitcoin runs up before the halvening. It pulls back usually. And I think he said it on a previous stream. So it was kind of blowing my mind that he wasn't like he had shifted somehow.
He changed.
Yeah. And it's like, but I think a lot of that is just because what I'm talking about him right now. It's like, that's the thing I think people need to balance out with like influencers. And I like Sami. I think he's very funny, very entertaining. And most of what he says is true, but he will flavor it in a particular way to make it more likely to get engagement because he's an influencer. He wants to grow his channel. He wants to get more people watching. That's his thing. It's like, he's not counting on a hex staking ladder to
I don't think he stated what his goal is in
to
this
do
phase.
that though. He just
it seems pretty
on
apparent. If you look
he's
at his
reporting on the way the people he's watching are behaving at the time. So I mean, that's how you appear relevant, is by appealing to the average person and how they're feeling at the moment, right? So
yes,
and if you mix that with a little bit of sort of reporting sort of style, hey, I'm just telling you what you guys are telling me, kind of a thing. I don't think he's lying when he says that.
right.
But
hey,
so
Joe Hexotic is back. Shout out to Joe Hexotic.
Joe.
Hey, no way, Joe's back. What's up, Joe?
Yeah.
Miss you, bro. Give me a call sometime.
Joe was the
Yeah.
first.
Long
Joe
time.
was the
He's
first guy
awesome.
that called me a scammer.
No way.
Oh,
Yeah.
Joe.
Yeah. Not the last, but the first.
No way. Wow.
Yeah.
Until
You
Solano-
share scammer.
Well,
Between
look,
Like a
look.
badge.
Joe Hexotic is the first person I ever did a show with.
Yeah.
Hex
I
Therapy
remember.
Live #1 was with Joe Hexotic, so shout out to him.
Yep. Joe is, a handful of Hexicans have become real life friends, and Joe is on that short list. So
Good to
much
see
love
him.
to Joe. Good to see him out there. Hope to see you in real life again sometime soon. But we need to get him back on stream, man. Hopefully he's. Oh, hey, speaking of streaming, I was like half joking, half serious. The other day I was on What the Hex, and we were talking about charts and stuff. I come in for my little segment.
Wait. Hold up.
What?
You can come late, but you can't change the subject when we're in the middle of something.
What's the
We were
subject?
talking about Sami.
Oh,
And we were
back to
talking about
Sami.
how
Okay.
he's reporting sometimes, and other times he's changing things up.
Well, he's always slanting it. I mean, think about it. It's like if anybody's listening to him,
But
and taking
Future's
him
had a point
verbatim-
on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Go ahead,
but
Future.
He seems to be pretty good at slanting it in the direction the general zeitgeist is sort of feeling at the moment. And when the zeitgeist kind of changes back, he sort of swings with them, you know.
Yes.
And so that way he's always seems relevant and on, you know, and that's a skill. Or it's just something you get by spending 18 hours a day in front of a computer. So how could you possibly miss it?
Right.
But he sure is hella entertaining, man. And he doesn't. I've never personally perceived him telling any kind of outright lies or pushing any particular narrative. He's always got two narratives, right? So one of them's got to be right.
Yeah.
And seems to straddle the line quite well. That's what makes it entertaining.
The thing I've noticed recently is he seems to be stoking the emotions of the Wall Street cheat sheet. So it's like he's begging people to be angry because that's the next stage we need to go through. And it's like, I don't think that's how it works, but maybe we'll see. We'll see. I mean, maybe he'll be the brilliant guy in the end who like forced us through all the emotions faster or something.
He's like, I really hope we're in the anger phase, and he doesn't say it, but the only alternative, if this isn't just the anger phase, then it's justified anger and we're actually going to zero. That's why he hopes we're in the anger phase. And I guess I got to share that, right? Because if it's not just an anger phase, then
right,
justified anger. Oh, that's not good.
Yeah,
but
it's real though. I mean, what do you mean though?
I'm just saying that I don't think he's trying to say that the whole market's in the anger phase or anything. He's saying, I hope that the anger I'm seeing is just the phase that we go through and we'll come out of it on the other side. I really hope it's just the anger phase. And he doesn't say it, but the alternative is, you know.
Yeah, I think that's
actually really going to zero.
Yeah. I think that's the subtext, because it's like, I mean, he's obviously here to make money. And it's like, you know, people saying that, you know, he's trying to FUD you out. I mean, there's been other people that have said things and counter traded it. Right. You know, but it's like, but he's helped a lot of people hold through bad times. Absolutely. And, you know, if people are taking the word of a single YouTube streamer who is highly hyperbolic and using that to make investment decisions, you've already lost. That is the opposite of doing your own research.
Damn it.
It's like, it's entertainment. It's like,
where am I supposed to do the research then? I thought watching hours and hours of YouTube live streams, I thought that was the research.
Well, Game Theory Games is pretty good content, I think.
Now.
My first day of school, my mum took me aside just before we got out. I got out of the car and she said, now the teachers are supposed to know what they're talking about. And I know you love learning and all that, but for whatever you do, don't take any advice from the ones with peanut brains. This is well known in down here in the down under and the Australias and the New Zealands of the world. So clearly, the peanut brains are the entertainers.
It does feel. I'll tell you this. It does feel a little sleazy that Somi has came in and he gave us little back shoulder rubs.
Doesn't it?
And now as the market sentiment comes down a little bit. Hold on, Future Us. Now as the market comes down a little bit, he has like lottery tickets he wants to start selling us. He has all these little launch pads he wants us to get in on. And you know what helps is if he fuds the crap out of all of our coins, maybe we'll get angry and sad and uncertain and doubtful, and maybe we'll buy into his thing because he's so smart. Because he's
Crispy,
so
what do you
bearish.
Think? He's talking
Bears sound smart.
I need to translate it to
get
United
rich.
States because he's talking in Australian all the time, so maybe it's lost in translation. What he's trying to say is, now, God damn it, if I ain't told you once, I told you a million times. 90% car, 10% lottery. God damn it.
Right. He said it.
Cool story. But then if you start a Telegram group and you're shilling the crap out of this, that, and the other thing.
I took 10% this week, 10%
your
next
net worth
week, 10% the week before.
$2,300. Are you putting just 5 to 10% away?
Well, not to be an apologist for him by any means, but it's like, what do you do with your core? You hold it. There's not really a lot to talk about. You buy it and you hang on to it. So, but if you're playing degen games with that other 10%, you're pivoting constantly. You're jumping from one bullshit to the next, trying to like guess right, and make money on those. So it's like, I can see how that might get more, more airtime, like with Telegram groups and whatnot than the core stuff. Cause the core stuff's kind of boring. It's kind of like our hex staking ladder. It's like, we talk about it because we want to educate people about it that don't know about it. But once you're in it and like understand it, it's like, what else is there really to say? You got it. You're letting it cook, letting it do its thing. And then I think that's the issue with the prolonged bear is that people have had too much time to like think. And then they think like, well, I can jump over here and maybe it's not 10% anymore. Maybe they're doing 30%. Maybe they're selling some of their bags of their core to go fuck around. And that is unwise in my opinion.
And that's not on him though. It's just, the question of what do you do once you have your core is like, you can add value in lots of ways. You can onboard other people. You can create art. You can do whatever you're good at and, plug yourself into the community one way or another. And that's one of the really cool things about being in a decentralized community is we have so many opposite types of people who are all working towards the same thing, even if they don't like each other, that everybody's bound to fit in somewhere.
Yep.
And it doesn't mean sell 10% of your core in order to go play either. It means take 10% of your DCA funds and put it into the stuff to play. The other 90% keep putting it into core. I mean, I think that probably gets lost in translation as well, right? You don't.
Well, it's not as exciting. It's not got as much sizzle to it. It's like, that's why he's got however many followers and I've got, what I got, it's like, I'm boring. It's like, because I'm telling you just like the facts and the truth. And it's like, I do my best to try to keep people level headed. I'll call some bullshit.
You only have one hat.
However, I got a stack of hats. You see my stack of hats?
All right. This just totally just got interesting.
Right? Exactly. But it's like, this is just me. I can't do that, to shift to try. And it's like, I've never been about getting followers or getting like, that's not my thing. It's like, I have my talking points. I have the stuff that I try to address with the community to keep them level headed. Even my TA, the way that I even do that's different, I think, than anyone does TA. Because I do it in a way to make people less panicky and less FOMO-ish, because you want to DCA intelligently. Maddie's got a really easy, dumbed down method, not to say it's dumb by any means. You don't buy green candle days. You buy red candle days, right? Like that's a very, very, very simplified way of doing it right. That's it. And then mine is like a little step up from that. Like, hey, let's have some intelligent DCA and you're going to come out ahead in the long run if you do that. And also you're not going to freak out. Like if it goes down 30%, you're like, oh my God, now it's going to zero. It's like, no, like I said last week, Maddie, we had significant support at 0019 on eHex and everybody freaked out. It's like, oh, don't talk about eHex. And we were joking, but kind of not. And what did we do? We bounced hard off of that. And, we're up like considerably off of that support. And I told people that's where I would be looking for support. And I bought right there. I bought some more eHex. Not a lot.
Let me say some nice things about Toby real quick. Cause look, Tobiwan is the epitome in this community. He is the epitome of onboarding. I've seen him in action, and I know for a fact that he onboards people like few, like very, very, very few. He is in the top 5 or the top 10 onboarders, in my opinion, in this community, up there with, Kareem and dollar cost crypto. And, so Tobiwan, if he's getting stem cells, he's talking the stem cell people into accepting Hex. He's getting them set up with their MetaMask. And like, that is an incredible thing that is super valuable in our community. And so I think everybody has their strengths. The other thing that I love about Tobiwan, if I was introducing him for the first time or something, is that like this dude, like a lot of people, they joke about the whole Michael Saylor thing, like sell your family business and buy crypto, blah, blah, blah. This man actually did it. And he didn't buy Bitcoin, by the way. So mad props. You're practicing what you preach, and doing something that if other people caught on to what you were doing, I think there would be blue skies ahead, no doubt for the community.
Well, and people, thank you, Maddie. I really appreciate the kind words. It's like the thing is too with onboarding, it's like have the incoming phone calls slowed down? Yeah, they have. To be honest, have some of the people that were kind of partially in through the process, kind of gotten cold feet a little bit. Yeah. So now you could just take that as a signal to be like, what, I'm just not going to onboard for a while. You know what I mean? Like, because it's too hard. It's too hard of a sell now. No, that all the stuff is the same. The code hasn't changed. The product market fit hasn't changed. None of those things have changed. And actually, the people that you can kind of bust through that fear wall and explain to them. And I have done a bit of a pivot. Like previously, I was telling people 20% in all 5 coins. Like if you're not sure and you don't want to dig deeper and like pick your favorites, 20% in all 5. And that's the way I would get people started off. Some people would only want to start off on the Ethereum side because they weren't sure about the pulse chain. And some of them had bad timing, and they got temporarily wrecked because they didn't want to go that next step. I mean, you got to figure there's certain people like Robinhood's a reach for them, right? And then there's other people where they're comfortable with Robinhood, they're comfortable with Coinbase. They might even be comfortable with getting like Staker app it was a godsend back in the day. Because it was for all those people that were like, what's MetaMask? What is it? Is it a website? I don't get it. It's hardware. What is it? The thumb drive? What's that for? Is that where my crypto lives? And then it's like, and they just glaze over. They don't get it. They shut down. I don't
want to be a shrimp. I want to be a dolphin.
Well, yeah. Well, and it had all the game theory, and it was really cutting edge for its time. And people were doing screenshots as we were going, for our first all-time high. And, it's like there was so much around that made it so easy to onboard. Hex Toys, I don't think he ever gets enough credit. That guy had over 10,000 referrals for Staker. 10,000, bro. Damn. I mean, that's a ton, because, and of course he had it on his website and maybe those weren't hand, he didn't lead those people by the hand to get in like, I do and other people do. But still, he got a lot of people in through Staker because it was that easy. It's not that easy for Pulse Chain yet, but it will be. Hex Scout makes it easier. GoPulse, I think, helps a lot. There's definitely tools out there. The difference is I equated it. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day that was in the music industry. And back in the day, I think one of the things that unified people was that there were radio stations, right? And that was primarily how you found out what the hits were. And everyone was kind of listening, and everybody was kind of listening to the same songs, right? And then that had that unifying thing because then as years went by, you all had those memories of the hits. Well, now with the way the music industry has changed, there's tons of good music out there, amazing amounts of artists, maybe more than ever. However, there are so many, and there are so many different ways to get to X, Y, or Z. That's never coming back. There's not going to be another Beatles. There's not going to be another Eagles. There's not going to be another Led Zeppelin. There's nothing that's going to capture that much of the world's attention. There's not going to be another Hex. There's not going to be another Hex.
That's what they said. But now
I don't know, man. I think we're going to wake up one day and there'll be 10 Led Zeppelins.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's people out there, I think, that are better than Led Zeppelin now. But the thing is that people don't know about them. And that's where things like Hex, is an example where people just need to be taught. Now, is it going to be the global current store of reserve? Maybe,
Yes.
it could, that's way, pie in the sky, I think, honestly, but there can be a large percentage of people that are familiar with it and have it as part of their portfolio. That's my wish, that people understand it, they dig in and they do the research and see the value, because where it's all going to get spicy again is the next bear. The next bear, people that have staked and have not succumbed to the FUD and have continued to stake on Pulse Chain, personally, is where I would be staking at this point, just to limit your risk with the gas fees until Vitalik and them figure it out, if they ever do it all. They're going to be paying themselves all through the bear market. They're going to be earning that yield, and they're going to have bigger bags. And then they're going to, some of them aren't going to know the math, but they're going to be like, well, wait a minute. I was buying Hex at like a penny, and now it's at 2 pennies, but my bag more than doubled. How did that happen? It's like, oh, hey, dummy, you were earning an average of 38% APY for the last 4 years. So your bags are way bigger than they were. And now the price doesn't have to go up as much for you to be well into profit, right? So people need to understand that there's a component there that is interesting. It's like in traditional investing, you have your blue chips, and then you have your sectors, your biotechs and your foreign funds and your different things that you get into that are higher risk profile, maybe higher reward, but maybe higher, it's higher risk. So you could lose your ass. That's why you have your core. So for me, 80% is Hex stuff and Richard Hart stuff. Or I'm sorry, 95 plus percent, 98%, I think, is Richard Hart stuff. But the majority of that is Hex stakes on both chains. Still, it's like I'm not into those stakes until they're due, and then at that point, I'll probably keep my eHex stakes liquid that end through the rest of the bull, and then I'll decide at that point what I want to do with them. Because in that way they're available to me if I want to rotate into some other Richard Hart stuff, depending on what the charts are saying and where I see more opportunity.
What do you all think about this whole idea that there has to be one winner? Like the Richard Hart stuff is like the best, and we're all, and if you're on any other team, then screw that team. And our history basically as Hexicans, which was a reaction to being hated so much for whatever reason, yada yada yada. But I'm super softened in that regard now. Like you were saying, 20% of each coin, it made perfect sense. But then I'm like, well, and so this is a question, right? I'm not trying to preach anything here, but why not 1% of 100 different coins?
My answer to that is, what do I, my full-on maxi Richard Hart, and just basically it kind of comes down to this. I believe being in the Richard Hart assets is the best opportunity that we all have in this upcoming market, because anybody can make anything, but a lot of people just generate more or less rug pulls, or just something a little bit scammy. And in my opinion, I just believe Richard Hart has basically made like a safe space for crypto investing where it's not going to get rugged. He's not running,
because he doesn't dump it himself.
He's not going to run any kind of scam. He's not going to dump his coins. And so I just think it's just the best place that has, the greatest opportunity and basically in the safest,
Well, hey, Briz, let me ask you a question. So, I still think that Hex is the best store of value ever created, right? Obviously time will tell to what extent that holds true. So for me personally, what my plans are, if I'm going to take profit in any of the RH coins through this bull market, because it would make sense, right? Because you don't have staking of Pulse, you don't have staking of Pulse X at this point. You don't have staking of Ink at this point, right? All you can stake is Hex or eHex. So for me, if I were to take profit out of any of those things, because inevitably we're going to have a bull market top and it's going to come down, and if the cycles hold true, it's going to be another 3 years of death and despair, and then we're going to bounce along the way, and then we're going to have another bull cycle. So it would behoove most people to take profit, to DCA out on the way up. But then what do you put it in? Are you going to put it in stables and like let inflation just like steal it back from you? Or are you going to store it in something like Hex? So like what's your plan? Like if you're going to take, because like for me, for Pulse Chain, I'm validating. So it makes no sense to me to not continue to validate even through the bear. Like I'm just going to keep my validators running forever is my plan. And then as I earn Pulse, I had been rotating that into yield farms, but is that going to be the smartest move after the bull tops out? Maybe not. So at that point, I would probably be taking my Pulse validator yield to spin up more validators. That to me, that makes sense. But PulseX and Inc, what do you do with them? Like if it's shot its shot for the first cycle and it's hit its all-time highs and it's rounded over and we're obviously coming into the bear, where do you store your gains?
You sacrifice it for the next thing that RH makes, or you put it into Hex, or you put it into stable coins. Like stable coins aren't the end of the world. Yeah.
There's a paradox hidden in all of this, which is that if Hex is to prove to be the best store of value that ever made, that we certainly believe, or believed in my case, that it was, then what I need to see to validate that now is I need to see Hex not do another 1,000x this next cycle, followed by a 99% drop next. I'd like to see it top out at around $1 and not do it all in the last 3 days, so to speak, right? I want to see it get established on a trend again. And I want to see the volatility sort of drop off a bit, because that will demonstrate to me that the market is actually choosing to use it as a store of value, not another meme
not a moonshot.
Yeah. And when I see that, I'll go, finally the market has settled down and understands what Hex is actually all about again. And we've got all these other things for the moonshots now, and that's been a hella confusing, man. Like Hex was the big moonshot, did the 10,000x, yada yada, and then, well, what do we do with all these other things? Well, I don't know, man. I mean, it's all about Hex. It's all about Hex. But I've been really slow to figure out that Hex isn't going to be well, it could be, and it'll go up with the rest, Hart's Law, all the rest of it. But if you're looking for a moonshot, well, I mean, you might find it in Hex, but I don't think that's what its long-term purpose, design, or nature, just from how the code's written point of view, is.
I think it's going to go up and down with the bull cycles and bear cycles.
That's the paradox, though, because if it doesn't really super perform, then this whole meme-focused market will just discard it.
It has so far. It's gone up and down so far. Toby, my basic strategy at this point in the game is that I just want to accumulate as much of the assets as possible. So I'm probably going to be exiting into stable coins I'm going to scale out. I'm only going to probably at the most take off like 10 or 20% from my wallet. And then my goal is in the very next bear market, in 26, 27, is to try and accumulate as much assets as possible. I really want to soak them all up. And then in 2032 or 2028, do the same thing. And then 2030, buy them up again. And just kind of rinse and repeat at this point. I really believe that's kind of the name of the game.
Swing trading on it at a cycle time interval.
Pretty much, yeah. I mean, just taking off enough to be able to live on and like not have to worry. I don't want to. I'm not gonna say any numbers, but I got enough cash to where I can ride out the rest of this bear market and not have to worry about selling any of my assets. And that's really helped keep my sanity. It's really helped me be able to like not have to worry so much. I lost a lot of value when eHex went down. I mean, I cannot believe, like, honestly, I did not take enough profits from eHex, but from the bull market top to where it's at now, oh boy, you can believe I lost some value. But again, I'm kind of like a little unfazed because, like I said, I'm luckily enough, I'm blessed enough to be able to sit in a cash position and not have to sell my assets. And now I can kind of see where they're going to go. Again, I believe in the future, eHex will be worth more than it is today. And I believe PHEX will be worth more than it is today. I believe all the RH assets are going to be worth more in the future than they are currently. And you know what?
Agreed.
I'm just a bulltard, but you know
Yeah,
what? Bulls get rich and bears just talk around and they sound smart. And
Toby's muted.
How many cycles did it take for Bitcoin to get to $74,000? Right. So that's the thing where it's like I think we are far from what
5, 6,
right? Yeah, 20
we're
years.
in the 60s.
So it's like I think we're maybe a couple cycles away from Hex getting to that area where you would want a store of value to be, because typically
Facts.
people that are putting things into a store of value, they don't want it to be super volatile. And I think the market will kind of level out after a point. Now, whether that settles around $1 or 10 or 50, I don't know. Maybe it'll settle at 20 cents, and that'll be kind of where it is, and there won't be as much volatility in years to come. But here's the thing that Joe said that I thought was right on point. He was commending Matty about how staking had saved his ass through all the dips, right? And that narrative still holds true for eHex and for Hex on Pulse Chain. Because yes, could you liquidate your position in eHex or in Hex on Pulse Chain and possibly rotate it to a different asset that would do better this full cycle? Sure, there's opportunity there. You could possibly do that. But what if you guess wrong? And what if, and this is where my theory of any eHex that I have coming out, that I'm not going to immediately restake it like I typically would and hold it through this bull to see what happens. There is still that outside chance that somehow eHex on its own beats the previous all-time high. And do I want to be the guy that sold it when we get back to 2 cents if it's going to 52? Absolutely not. So through the bull cycle, I'm going to hang on to it. And then after that, I'm going to consider whether or not I want to stake it further down the road, and maybe I'll scrape some profit off as we go. And then same holds with Hex on Pulse Chain. If I don't have any intention of selling it, and I certainly wouldn't be selling at these levels, I've DCA'd for, ever since Pulse Chain came out, and I was DCAing into eHex prior to that, since it launched forever. I've yet to take any profit on anything. And, so it's like, it seems pretty plain to me that those things are working as designed. And if you want to protect yourself from being fudded out of your own bags or EESing or other mechanisms that are in place to keep you being a long-term holder and accumulating that inflation and effectively DCAing for zero additional fiat, then those things still work, and then, and I think that Pulse Chain is, personally, I think has the most potential in this particular bull cycle. And, it's been floated around there since before launch. It's a copy of ETH, and ETH did 14,000x. So I'm not saying we're going to get there, but I think that, do we do a 14,000x on eHex or PHEX this cycle?
If
I'll
it
allow
gets
it. So I got a point here. It's more of a question, but it's kind of like a statement. Do you guys like it when people show up to the community and they they buy Hex and then they don't time lock it and they want to sell for a profit before anybody else, and then they complain and tell people to not onboard anymore whenever they haven't even spent very much time in Hex? I
think people who do that are dumb.
Is that cool?
Thank
you, Brisology. Hey, I agree with you there.
They're just being normal humans, not dedicated to a cause. I don't think there's anything. They might be making stupid decisions from our perspective or in general, but they're just doing what humans do, right?
Yeah,
Some
yeah.
people are deceptive, though. Some people have deceptive intentions.
Yeah, yeah.
In the end, you need traders in any market. But the fact is that the trader shouldn't be complaining when they don't do as well as the staker, who's been here for 4 years, 5 years, who's staked years into the future. You know, it's. Yeah.
I mean, if the candle's red, you get to complain, right? That's the rules.
Oh, okay. All right. Got it.
The rules.
Those are the rules. You're allowed to complain when the candles are red. It's what everybody does. Social consensus is very clear on this.
I understand now. Okay.
Good.
Go ahead. Oh, it looks like we have another special guest here. I told you tonight could be spicy. Oh, we can't hear you very well.
On right now. Ready to go.
Your audio,
Johnny, your audio's wrecked.
Oh, is it?
Oh,
wait.
It was probably
might have
just
been
I was yelling so loud.
Oh,
it
nice.
wasn't. It
probably was.
Your gain was.
You sound better.
So anyway, guys, yeah. So I'll tell you what's wrecked. The staking narrative is what's wrecked. The staking narrative is wrecked because we have migrated over to a whole new existence. And why is that narrative wrecked? Well,
can you speak up a little bit more?
Is it? Let me see if I check the settings here.
It's funny. It kind of sounds edgy, like it's too loud, but
revived, baby.
Hold on, let me see.
Well, that's better.
I hope it stays wrecked for a while because I can
He's joining from the beachfront as well.
Yeah,
man.
I'm
beachfront property.
He's got sand in his microphone.
Yeah, I don't know what on here. I don't know what I can do with it, Manny. That's
yeah, I think just like being like a couple inches closer helped.
That's what she said.
Am I close enough? Okay.
There you go.
All right. So we've changed the culture. All right. When we were one token, we had a culture. The culture was delayed gratification. The culture wasn't pump and dump. The culture wasn't chase the new shiny object. Okay. We spent a lot of time saying, oh, Hex is new. Hex is the new thing. It's the next Bitcoin. It's newer. And then we got in this habit of, okay, what's the next new thing? Hex is better than Bitcoin. It's new. So let's go to the next new thing. So we started this whole culture of jumping to the next thing to start with. Okay. We have changed our perspective from delayed gratification to instant gratification. We have cannibalized our own community to where everybody wanted to pick one winning horse, whether it was even our own coins, which one was better. We had derivatives that people, not necessarily the founders intended to be competition, but they became competition because, like, you had people saying, oh, well, you're going to make more yield if you stake over here. So we started creating this whole competition and this whole chasing sort of culture where we were moving on to the next thing and creating this sort of paradigm where newer was better, right? And this is just kind of how it's progressed. And then when we forked, Pulse Chain was obviously made to reduce gas fees. It is the better blockchain. It's affordable, usable, whatever. Okay. Obviously that's going to allow Hex to use its functionality as it was intended to do because Ethereum jacked us. And what I like to tell people is this: first of all, Hex is not wrecked. Hex is not wrecked. Ethereum is wrecked. Hex is still a Lamborghini, but on the roads over there, it's a bunch of potholes.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of potholes. Okay.
Yeah. So I get that. But can you say New York is wrecked just because of the traffic situation?
Yeah,
bustling city.
New York is definitely wrecked.
I'll get to that too, because the Ethereum network is still where the money is. Okay. And a lot of that money that's on Ethereum has been migrating over to Solana, not Pulse. In fact, I imagine Richard's pretty frustrated with the limited amount of money that has actually been migrating over at Pulse, which is why this new push for the Pulse chain. Okay. Unfortunately, this division causes confusion, which means instead of buying A or B, they just go buy something else. And I was afraid of this from the beginning. So it's why I was running around when everybody was trying to pick one winning horse and say, no, PulseX is the best. No, Pulse is the best. Oh no, Hex on this side's the best. Hex. It's like you don't want that division. We never
that division is what's confusing everyone. Which one do we buy? I don't know which one to buy. So guess what? We got to unify and tell them to buy the one that's.
So I have a question about this.
Well, no, we got to tell them not to buy the one with the wrecked gas fees.
But the problem is nobody listens to us, Briz.
Well, that's their problem.
Very, very, very small user base.
I onboarded someone to this weekend. So,
Briz, do you have 100 million subscribers? Do you
He's
get
working on it.
Views? Do you
I'm
get
working on it.
Views? No.
I'm on the
road.
road.
You know what the guys with the 40,000 views are going to point at? The dead body.
Who
That's
cares?
What they're point at.
Who
and
cares?
They're gonna, and their followers.
My onboards don't see that dead body because I'm a better onboarder.
It's been dead long enough now. They don't even talk about it.
No,
I don't mean that it is. I don't mean that it is dead. In their minds, it's history, right? There's all these new memes and shit to talk about now, so that's good.
Well, I got a question about
that invest into Bitcoin goes, what's that dead body Bitcoin Cash? No one cares. They're just investing into Bitcoin.
Yeah.
PHEX
is better than Hex because the PHEX price is better. So that means that Bitcoin's better than Ethereum, which is better than Solana, which is better than yada yada yada, which is better than Hex. There's all these narratives. Most of them are just total bullshit. I don't care.
It's very simple. It's very simple, and people just, and we all know it. Everybody on the screen knows it. And we've all got pulled off into these little side, stories. People chase green candles.
Yeah, they do.
People chase green candles. It doesn't matter if it's Bitcoin. It doesn't matter if it's Ethereum. It doesn't matter if it's Solana. It doesn't matter if it's a meme coin. It doesn't matter if it's Hex. It doesn't matter if it's anything. If it's a fucking green candle, people are going to sell other stuff to go buy the green candle. That's what happens. That's just what happens. It's happened forever, long before I ever got into crypto. And it's the same stuff happens in the stock market.
And if Hex had only ever come to 50 cents and then down to 20 cents and then back up again.
Well, hang on. And to carry on with that point, here is something that I find interesting. I also agree that, it makes more sense. Hex, the whole reason Pulse Chain was designed was to save people from the ETH gas fees. That was the whole impetus for him doing that, right? Everyone can agree that was it.
No,
so I do
not agree with that. We'll get back to that, please.
Okay, well, that was the argument that we heard.
Was the argument, yes.
Okay, that was the argument. So ultimately, here's the skinny. What's actually happening? So from the death tweet, if you want to call it that.
I don't want to call it that.
Okay, well, whatever you want to call it. The tweet that everyone, I believe, overreacted to. And
the incident.
Tommy's or Richards?
Well, Richards. And that everybody, I believe, overreacted to. I held firm. I didn't buy or sell anything. I bought a little bit of the dip on the eHex because I had some shit coins I was done playing with and had made my profit. And I rotated them in. And I'm very happy with that decision. Because and I'm not even talking about the support I was talking about on eHex at 0.009. Let's go all the way to the bottom. And now the bottom of eHex on Pulse Chain, that happened a couple of days later, about a day later, actually. From those two bottoms today, Hex on Pulse Chain is down another 10%. eHex is up 80%. So to me, that sounds like the reality of what's happening. We can talk about our wishes and dreams and what it ought to be like, but right now that's what's happening.
Toby,
I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that's what's happening.
How many coins on Ethereum do absolutely nothing and their price is still higher 3 years later? So to say Hex can't do anything on there because staking is broken is kind of a farce. Because there's other coins that don't even have that functionality to begin with. Can you use it over there for staking? No, it's probably not ideal to do that. You're going to get screwed, right? So we have built a new network where Hex can be utilized as intended. And if you want to buy Hex, you should buy it over there. But you don't have to go over there and shoot bullets in the other one. And I didn't say Richard did. All Richard did was he shot a shot in the air and everybody else reacted.
Yeah, he didn't say anything he hasn't said before.
He just said that Hex functions better on the Pulse Chain, which it does.
You gotta have
quickly, Toby, on your thing, you like a bit of TA, right? You look at the eHex chart on Uniswap, not the X Screener Pulse Chain version, right? we were trending down. eHex was trending down, and then some scammer hacker dude came along and put like $100 million or some stupid thing in, and we got a big green candle up, and then we floated around a bit, and then this incident recently happened, and guess what? We corrected. We're back on trend. Actually, if you just look at the chart, we're just back on trend. It's not a nice trend. It's kind of going down for too damn long, but that's all it's done. It's actually just put us back on trend, and I think everybody didn't want to know that truth, me, myself included. I was viciously angry when that tweet came out and the way it was interpreted and everything and what happened on the chart, mostly because my wife was away on a work thing with her treasure and everything locked up here, and we don't share passwords, so we couldn't do a damn thing about it. And it really upset me because I was going to have to break the news when she came
So
up.
let me ask you guys
we
quick
just corrected
question.
back on trend.
Do you guys think Richard's tweet also killed Bitcoin?
No.
Exactly.
All right, so I'm gonna okay. Listen up, guys. Listen up. I'm gonna add some structure. So I'm gonna add some structure to this because we have a lot of great minds here. Okay, and so basically the format is gonna be we each get to bring up a topic, and then we go around the room in order. And people can make a point on that. And then the next person gets to bring up the topic, right? So like a panel, just a regular panel. Because I think we're going to get more out of it if we're not all just like, you know, trying to chase all these different, all these different points.
Yeah, good call.
So for me, I listen to a lot of things that Johnny says, as well as all of you, right? Because like, we all have our conversations and our talking points with everything. But one thing that I've really liked that Johnny said was having to do with like not focusing all on the dead body, but like, what is the future and what are the narratives that will get people, lining up at the door to enter into Pulse Chain and Hex. And so one question that I have, which I think has some game theory implications that I'd like to hear from you guys, is concerning this idea that I had today. That was like, well, I keep hearing everybody say that there's not one ticker to buy. And I'm thinking to myself, well, like, maybe there could be some like official RH single ticker that is comprised of all these different things. And you could still go and you could buy Hex, or you could buy PulseX, or you could buy Pulse. You could still do it separately. But what if there was some sort of like a mutual fund token? I guess I would ask Future Us first, like, is that technically feasible? And then whether or not you think it is, I would ask everybody else, if it was technically feasible, what do you think the game theory would be? A sink or swim, Shark Tank style. Future Us.
So let me see if I understand. So you're tabling the idea of like an index token sort of thing.
Yeah, like exactly.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's technically possible, but why?
All right.
Well, hang on. So let me elaborate. So when we originally split into this, like we had Hex, and then we had eHex and pHex and PLSX and PLS and what's the other one? Inc. Right. So my initial thing was like, oh, for God's sake, now all of the economic energy that comes in is going to be split 4 ways, and everything's going to be down to 1/4 or 1/5 of what it could be. That sucks. But then I realized, but won't that also happen in the liquidity pools? Won't all the money that was available for liquidity pools also end up getting split? Let's just say 5 ways even. Obviously, it didn't work out that way, but so if the liquidity's down to 1/5, and the energy going into each individual coin is also down 1/5, and at the end of the day, it doesn't actually matter. Assuming they all stay at 1-to-1 ratio, just for the sake of this example, because the liquidity is a fifth lower and everything, and the energy coming into each coin is a fifth lower, the two balance each other out, and they still pump or don't pump the same as they bloody well would have anyway. But then, of course, you add the complexity of the ratios and changing and the narratives and the arguments and everything else. So all of that just to say that, no, I don't think that making all of that even more complex with some kind of mutual fund or sort of index average of all the Richard Hart stuff I mean, it would give people a thing to look at and go, here's the total RH value right now, but I don't think it would have much meaning.
So you wouldn't do it. All right, Tobiwan, thoughts on this specific topic? You're muted.
Sorry, I do that so I don't any background noises about it.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
I forget to unmute, whatever. But I don't know if I talked about it here, or I know I talked about it in private to some people. I had this brainstorm the other day in the shower because there was all this talk. This has been weeks ago when the 404 was it the NFT 404 thing was like all the rage, and it was kind of popping off. And I was thinking to myself, like, well, couldn't there be kind of like a DAO token that then buys a basket of assets? And then that is like a 404 NFT, effectively like a mutual fund, right? Which I feel like is kind of along the lines of what you're talking about. Couldn't something like that exist? And you wouldn't be locked in, like Futurus is saying, to like a 1-to-1-to-1-to-1 ratio, because the DAO token could kind of decide how to weight that mutual fund, just like mutual fund companies do already. Like it's a basket of assets, but it's not necessarily, all equally balanced. They might be heavier in Apple stock than they are in some other tech sector stock or whatever. So, yeah, I mean, I think that something like that could be interesting and could maybe be a stabilizing force. And there could be some interesting game theory in it. Like, let's say the ink token was the DAO, that if you were able to vote on what was held.
It does have a DAO built into it. Cool. All right. So Tobiwan's going to let it swim. Johnny, you're up next.
They all have different functions. This is why we should not be cannibalizing each other and trying to pick one winning horse, because each of the coins have different functions. And that's why I said from the beginning that you want to have a little of each, like Toby said, and not try to pick one winning horse. But we turned into this one winning horse because people have limited economic energy and they just wanted to make one choice. And the eHex can either be a monument or memorial on the Ethereum side. That comes up to us, but it's not going away. You can't delete it. You're not going to remove it. All you can do is change the perception of how the Ethereans look at our structure, and whether or not that's going to reflect on whether or not they want to come over to our new city that we built, because first impressions are everything.
So are you sinking the idea or letting it swim?
It's hard. I think that a lot of people would probably buy in to a basket. I think most likely, again, that would be another opportunity to exclude eHex out of it. Because, look, here's the fact. Richard wants the pretty charts. He wants everybody to show the pretty charts. The influencers and news media are not going to do us any favors. They didn't even list the first one correctly. They still haven't listed the first one correctly.
Facts.
It's going to be really hard to get them to accept a new pretty chart when they got one that's ugly that supports their narratives that they're going to throw in our faces on a regular basis. So I'm just looking at this like, look, the true believers, we're not migrating shit because we can't. If we unstake, we just pay Ethereum fees, which is what he said not to do. So there is no migration, not for 15-year stakes. There's no migration for that. It's accept your copy and move on, and hope the commitments that you made to yourself work out, because that's all you can do. And the problem is people aren't taking the first part of the advice, which is use money that you don't need right now. They totally bypass that altogether. So, oh no, pick one, all in. They totally miss that part altogether. And that's why they're so traumatized. And zoom out. If you made a stake 2 years from now, your price is 2 years from now. It's not today. Why are you trying to make decisions today when you made a commitment for 2 years from now? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me, but this whole idea now is chase yield farming, go for the highest yield, quickest returns that you could possibly get. And, Richard's marketing that because I'm getting too far away from the question. Go ahead.
Okay. All good points. Brisology.
I wrote down right here. I said, it sounds like PHUX with extra steps.
Yeah.
All right.
That's
there
true.
you go. Great point. And are you for it or against it in the game theory perspective?
I mean, we could just make a pool on PHUX, put all the assets in there, and if someone wants to buy with a single
buy that LP token, yeah, get that listed on
re-
exchanges because it's
it
not
will
SEC related.
Maddie, it will rebalance whatever money you put in there to all the assets.
You mean on our fork of balancer?
Does it earn yield?
Probably.
If anyone's confused about that acronym, by the way, it's what is it? Phoenix User Experience or Phoenix something? Yeah.
PHUX is a exchange, and so what we're talking about is they have a liquidity pool set up for multiple coins all at the same time, and so they basically have an LP token that represents a equal share in all 5 different RH assets. Although maybe it's only 4 because it does it include the eHex that's been bridged over or not?
I think it does. I think it's
okay.
I think it's all of them.
Well, all right, great. Good contribution, Briz. And wait, what did you say? You agree or disagree with it?
I say let's do it.
Okay. And ChrispyMan, you're up.
I'm not doing it.
Yeah. Thanks, Bruce.
Sorry.
Thanks, Bruce. Hey, yeah, it's an idea. Apparently today, a lot of people are talking about baskets. That's been coming through a lot. Fine idea.
It is Easter.
It is Easter. Probably too much complexity for me, so I wouldn't go into it myself. Probably. The other thing is on the actually carrying it out part. You need some backing for that, right? And I mean, if nothing else, you need to have that LP and all that stuff set up. Somebody's got to support it. So I would just say buy Hex.
Oracle and all the rest. Just buy Hex.
Well, what if people were like bridging the LP token basket over to Ethereum and then selling it to ETH people? Would that be valuable? That way they could get exposure to the RH ecosystem without having to use the bridge.
Nah, send them over to Pulse.
Okay.
Yeah, there's no question, guys, that we should send everybody to Pulse Chain if we can get them there. All right. Anybody we can send over the Pulse Chain, we should get them there. That does not mean emergency unstake your shit and get a bad ratio. Okay. What that means is new capital would go into the Pulse Chain and support that. Okay. The problem is, first of all, we don't reach everybody. That's the big problem here. We do not reach everybody. Not everybody's going to listen to us. And people are going to click clickers or click tickers where they're available to them, what's convenient for them, and they're not going to stop doing that. Okay? They're not going to research. They're not going to want to listen to what's real and what's not real, no matter how much we say it or try to beat into their head, because we are talking to a minority within a minority within a minority. And even Richard, saying what he's still got 300,000 followers. Okay. We've got 100,000 users, 200,000 users or something. Right. So,
the goal could never have been about trying to onboard the world because, look at the optics. The optics are appallingly bad.
Isn't this convenient?
To attract a certain kind of person.
Isn't this convenient?
We don't help each other by attacking each other and saying, buy the one bag that I got. Screw those OGs. They're greedy because they've got bags on the other. Yeah, we've got nothing to do with. They're just going to sit there forever, But guess what, guys? Here's something to think about, okay? Look at how low the prices of Hex are. Where did that economic energy go? Did it go into Hex? No. Because you confused people and you told them that Hex is bad on one side, so therefore all Hex is bad. That doesn't help you. Now it's like, no, well, screw that. We're just going to buy Pulse now, or we're just going to buy Ink, or we're just going to buy Pulse X. Okay, fine. But you don't have to shoot one or two in the head to get people to let them make their own choices. They have different functionalities. Why are we trying to tell people which one is the best? They all have different functions. You have a screwdriver, you have a hammer, you have a saw. They are not the same tools. They're not used for the same purposes. They have different value. You know, they have different value propositions. And this idea of
And one of the
dead and
tools
staking
burns
his
the
thumb-
fuck out of your hand every time you touch it.
Could have
What?
something to do with a leader who's big on like, I'm a winner, I'm going to win. We always win, so you got to pick a winner.
Oh, well,
Yeah, I
you
have
know what it's turned into is Richard's going to buy my bag, so I'm not going to bother. I'm just going to buy the thing he tells me to. So I
I
can
wanna
front run
address
the
that.
NFL
That's not what
public.
Richard said. That's not
wanna
what any of
address
us
that
said.
point.
That's what one person said, and now it's
I
a
wanna
popular
address-
narrative.
No,
So
that's
to
not what
close-
one
to
person
close
said.
this topic
That is
out-
what people
to
are
close-
on
address that
stating right
point.
now.
To close my topic out, I would like to say the panel was split 3-3, so the viewer gets to decide whether it's Richard or Alex Magic Beard or anybody who is a builder, Buck Immensals, anybody. You can decide what to do with this this game theory that we discussed. Who wants to go next to pick a topic to ask everybody?
I will. Can I go? I
Yes.
want to
No.
address the point about Richard's going to buy all of our bags. All we're saying is the bull market is going to buy all of our bags. When the bull market comes, all of the bags just, I don't know, the liquidity
They buy
bonding,
themselves.
they start getting really full. And you know, and for me, when I like help onboard people, I like to show that our founder, our billionaire founder, he has control of $600 million in stable coins at one point. And I think that's a very positive thing. That, you know, having a company buyback program is a very positive thing. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be happening, but you know, I'm looking at $600 million on the blockchain. But really, all I'm saying is wait till the bull market. The bull market is what is really going to pump all of our bags up. And no, we're not saying Richard himself he's gonna buy all of our bags. No, it's the bull market. The bull market will pump it up. There you go.
I want to buy Richard's bags, but that mother won't bloody sell. It's like, when's he going to give me that discount, man?
Good point. Brisology, what was that a topic you want everybody to weigh in on, or
Well, I just wanted to address that point.
okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Pick
Who
someone
wants to
else.
go next to pick a topic?
No, I want to go on that topic if we got.
Yeah, go for it. Freestyle.
Okay. Who's the founder of the saw? Who's the founder of the hammer? Who's the founder of the screwdriver?
Oh, you're going too fast. You're going too fast. Okay, so the first one was, sorry, carry on.
The point is, it's a tool. Are you marketing the product or are you marketing the man? Because the man shouldn't matter if the product's good. Do you like Bill Gates?
I don't like Richard
Do
Hart.
you like
actually.
Jeff Bezos?
His whole personality just rubs me the wrong way, just for the record. So, yeah.
But here's the thing. Do you like Bill Gates? Do you like Jeff Bezos? Do you still use Amazon? Do
They're
you still
okay.
own an Xbox? Do you still have a
Exactly.
computer? What are
Exactly.
you trying to market exactly? Are you marketing the product or are you marketing the man? And and as far as Richard's got all this money on chain, yeah, it's his money. It's his money. Whatever happened to no expectations of the work of others?
Yeah.
Literally, that is totally explanation. That is totally expectation of the work. Well, there's going to be a stock buyback. Well, there's going to be a this. Well, there's going to be that. We need to stay the hell away from that conversation.
Yeah.
Because even if there is, that is by his choice, by his will. He does not have to do that. People should not expect that. And that is a big problem for us.
I
Thank
just want
you.
to say this is game theory, gang. Where we're doing game theory with what ifs, what
I
might
thought we were supporting the
potentially
SEC
happen.
case.
What was that?
Supporting
Because it
what?
sounds like we're supporting the SEC case, is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
Because
exactly.
They would
No
literally infer,
expectations.
they would literally infer and copy the videos where people said there's going to be this and there's going to be a that, and they're going to say, see, this is what he told his people to say. Even though he didn't say it himself, this is what he told his people to say. Now, if they can make a jury believe that, that's a problem.
and they
So we're
talk
not
about
helping. We're
they
not
talk
That's why
helping.
about
Sami is really
marketing.
dangerous at this point. Like, as much as I
Yeah.
love him, like, you can't go changing the truth about no expectations.
Yeah.
It's
No.
no expectations, period.
Means
Not,
everything.
oh, I'm a
Look, look,
trader,
look.
so I hope that he buys my bags, and wink, wink, he was telling me he would buy my bags. No, none of that.
If the SEC case were to rest on that issue alone, Richard's lost. It's out. It's already. I mean, I take the point. It's absolutely true. But we've already done it. We've done it so long now. It's a load of crap. Luckily, the counter argument to the SEC's case is based on something that actually has some merit and some meaning. You know, like free speech and the Second Amendment and all this other crap.
No, I don't think he's going to lose, Future Us. Don't get
Well,
me
of
wrong.
course he's not going to lose. But
No,
if
he's
it
not gonna
was
lose, but
on
I'm just
that,
saying we're
thing,
not
he's gonna
helping
lose.
things. We're
No.
not helping things by creating that culture
No, it's
to where the people that it draws believe they're creating those expectations.
Absolutely.
We by talking about those things and the SAC address, it doesn't help because
No.
we're creating that and drawing the people that are expecting that all they have to do is wait. I'm going to buy once. I'm going to wait, liquid, and then Richard's going to buy my bags. It's like I'm going to go to GameStop. I'm going to buy a game for $70. I'm going to sit on it, and I'm going to go back next week and sell it for $700. You run out of money doing that. You know, if you're a business, you would run out of money doing that.
Why would a rumored
the
billionaire
principal-
suddenly turn around and start just giving away all his money? I mean, it's just not that simple.
No.
In my opinion, it's more about the Bitcoin narrative where it's like, hey, I bought some Bitcoin a long time ago. I did nothing and just sat on it, and now it's worth a lot more in the future. So it's not necessarily about, you know, oh, we're going to buy it and then we're going to wait for, you know,
Yeah.
big,
Who cares who the specific person is buying it?
Whatever happened to having self-sovereignty over our
as
own
we
finances?
onboard more and more people, you know, the value is just going to be there. You know, when we have 1 million people on the pulse chain, you can't tell me you expect the prices to be the same price.
Well, here's something for everybody out there to think about. Do you know what Bitcoin's first listed price on exchanges were?
69,420.
I don't know what the first was, but it was well under a penny. Well under a penny.
1,309 Bitcoin for $1.
Well, that's not as far under as I thought.
1,309 Bitcoin for $1.
So that's
dang
cheaper than Pulse.
Dang.
So think about that for a second. When you're looking at these small prices and you're staking for your future, and you're earning more coins every day, thinking that they're not worth anything because they're only worth fractions of a penny. So a T-share doesn't sound like it's worth anything. Staking something that doesn't change, something that's a commitment to yourself, that doesn't have impermanent loss, that continues to earn coins 40% or more per year, more coins, that could have a higher future value 14 years from now. Look at what Bitcoin did.
If it's a blockchain and it's still around, price going up.
It's not going anywhere. So this is the problem people have when there's such, you know, we've got our ups and downs. You think people weren't dumping their Bitcoin? People dump their Bitcoin. How do you know when the top is? You don't. It's a top. It's not the top. We had a top. We had a top in Hex. One a top in Hex, which was the 50 cents. That's what everybody talks about. That's a top, not necessarily the top. So and we don't know. We don't know what the future is going to hold. So what does staking do? Staking takes the money out of your weak ass pleb hands so that you actually have a bag when the future comes. That's what it does. Everything else is liquid. You're going to grind it away. You're going to grind it away. The system's designed for you to grind it away because you don't know when the next top is coming. You don't know when people are going to realize, wait a second, this is what's going on here. The narrative's been broken in our community, but the system isn't broken at all.
Agreed.
Facts.
100%.
Yeah, clip it.
I don't know what you're talking about, Johnny.
You know exactly what I'm talking about. You got all the charts.
My narrative isn't broken. Hey, I hope actually I think it's a great opportunity actually, because I think in my little bubble of the very boring T-share on the hex chain, on the pulse chain hex, and that boring topic that a lot of people don't want to pay attention to. I'm going to keep telling people about it, but I'm not brokenhearted that more people are getting into mining. Not if the narrative is still strong that they're going to make lots of money trading it. Because that just means it acts like a normal token, ups and downs. People cry, people elate. But as a miner, I just keep collecting my rewards.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, and Future Rush was talking about people calling it a meme coin over there. No, again, it's not broken. Ethereum currently is. What if they repair their roads? They're going to have to. You know why? And it's not because they're losing money to Pulse Chain. They're going to have to because they're starting to lose money towards Solana. Ethereum is gonna lose out to the next thing that the mainstream is promoting because they're not taking it seriously.
I got a game theory. What
I'm
if
split on that idea.
Ethereum is controlled by the World Economic Forum, and all the billionaires that control that don't want Ethereum to be fixed?
Reptilians.
Well, there's a good theory behind that, because it is like being locked in a burning building with bouncers at the door. When I say at the door, I mean at the bridge, because they're trying to charge you an exit fee. To do that. So
I hate when I agree with Johnny.
All I can think of is that this is like an evil plan by the bug eaters to turn off the normies. Like, hey, look at these fees. Look how slow it is.
Fix.
Well, Bruce, I've been saying that. I've been saying that for.
Won't want.
How do you fix the fees? You can't fix the fees.
I've been saying
no. Seriously,
change the parameters.
What are the fees on Ethereum? The fees on Ethereum are an open auction bidding market. No matter what you do to the underlying code, the market is always going to pay whatever it costs to get their transaction through.
Make the blocks bigger.
Okay. So that's like take New York, bowl a whole strip of buildings down so we can add 8 more lanes and see how long that lasts.
We got the same
most
thing on
popular
Pulse.
EVM chain. It's never going to be fixed, which is why you need to move to Pulse chain.
But
Andreas Antonopoulos used to talk about that. Like it'll just fill up again.
They made it worse for Hex by the S-load thing and all that by far, but I think that had to kind of happen for the survival of the chain. But that's the whole reason Pulse chain and other chains and the layer 2s and all that thing exists. So yeah, what if they fix the fees? That might, but I don't think the fees have to be fixed to have eHex have value on Ethereum.
What do we need?
But if they did, that would give it a big boost. But can you believe they'll stay fixed for the term of your stake? And for that matter, can you believe that even with Pulse Chain? Can you believe that the Pulse Chain fees will stay low for the next 10 years? It doesn't matter, because you can just make another chain or some other layer 2 thing or whatever, and just address the thing. And does any of that matter on account of Hart's Law when PLSX and Pulse are going to pump everything into the bloody moon, regardless of what the hell happens to Hex anyway? Probably. I don't know. Just wait.
Hey, Futurist, when you say the gas doesn't matter, so
no, I didn't say it doesn't matter. It fucking matters a huge amount. Excuse my French. I'm just saying that there's nothing you can technically do in the code or the design of Ethereum to fix it.
Yeah,
you can make it more bandwidth. You can address the issue.
Not that point.
Oh, right.
Not that point. You said the reason you said Hex could still be very valuable there. How would Hex be very valuable on the Ethereum chain, even though the gas fees are high? Explain how it would happen. Well, I happen to agree. I happen to agree with you.
Yeah. So if I put $1,000 into a stake for 5 years, and we're 1 year in, and I do the math today, and I go, my God, when it comes time to end the stake, it's going to cost me $10,000 to end this $1,000 stake. Hex is dead. I'm screwed. Only 5 years go by, and it turns out that the Hex in there now, because the narrative got fixed, is worth $10 million, and it's going to cost me $100,000 to end the stake. I'm like, I don't care.
Narrative? What narrative got fixed?
The Hex narrative, the fact that it still has value. that it's not a that hex is hex, and hex does what hex
He's
does.
saying that
And
more
a
money
Bitcoin
flowed
account,
into hex.
and the
raised up
consensus
the
code
value.
is locked,
There you
and
go. Thank you, Bruce.
and you can all of that stuff.
Hmm.
If the value of the damn hex goes up enough, then the high fees don't matter a damn for us
You
who
know
are
what's
already
interesting?
staked.
You know what's
For us who are
interesting?
already staked, new money obviously has to go into the cheaper chain.
Well,
You know what's
let me just say,
interesting,
let me say this, Johnny, and then I'll stop. When you're talking about this in eHex, you still have, yes, if we all decided to buy and drive the price up, it would happen. However, we're still going to be paying this gas fees to the validators. Over to you, Johnny.
Yeah, what's interesting is Hex was at its highest price when the gas fees were at its highest.
It's always the way.
That's just the fact. So, and this is no different. Right now, it's no different than we've already dealt with before when Hex was at much higher prices. It's just now, guess what? A lot of that stuff is bleeding out because it's not worth the cash out. So now the T shares are getting bled out instead, so the way the system is designed, the way that the code is designed, the higher gas fees are going to affect things, not a lot differently than they did last time. The only difference is what has changed is our perception, or the fact that we've got somewhere else to go, right?
And the fact that the stakes that people are trying to end now are obviously longer, some of them, because we've been around for 3 years, so they're running into the fee issue that they didn't run into when it was.
So what happens if they bleed out? Where does that money go?
Well, it doesn't matter if
into
they
the
bleed out or
ether.
not, because nobody's going to end them, and nobody's going to go count them if they're that expensive. So,
Hey, can I add something in here? Because it's like I mean, I love game theory. I love theory. I love these kinds of talks. However, it's like I am a very data-driven person, and I like facts. I like black and white stuff because gray areas where all the gnashing of teeth and pulling of hair and the fighting and bullshit is. I have a stake that's ending that's almost 900 days. It's not Sunday night, and I just checked it, and it's $128.
Yep.
So that sucks, but that stake, even at the current eHex prices, is well over $100,000.
I saw it way down as low as under 20. I saw it at 17 just the other day. So
I'm
timing has a lot to do
unfazed.
with it too.
But here's the thing: the length of but however, that same stake, I checked it the other day, curious because I knew it was getting ready to end, and it was over $700 to end that, which is punitive. And if you have a stake that's worth less than that, then yeah, you're fucked. I mean, there's not any way to parse it, right? But here's the kicker, and I think that people are missing it. And I literally sat here and struggled a bit because it's like I could do this. I don't know that I'm going to do it, but I could do it because I've got some relatively big stakes coming out, and I have done rolling stakes before. I have a rolling stake that's also coming out soon, and I checked that one, and it was a 90-day roll. And I've done it over and over and over and over again and earned yield, but had it relatively nearby in case I wanted to do something with it. Am I a little upset it didn't end before the tweets that drove the eHex price down? Sure, maybe a hair. However, the end stake fee on that rolling 90-day stake, $17.
So here's
$17. So the thing, I'm not saying that the narrative that ETH is broken and that it's punitive and that the S load penalty that we're all having to pay is bullshit. All I'm saying is that I think it is being amplified for suspect reasons. And also, do we have so little faith in our onboarding ability that we have to try to focus on cannibalizing economic energy away from eHex to bring over to pump our pHex bags? Is that what's going on? I just don't somehow I don't get why we got to keep hammering eHex as like it's broken, it's bad, it's broken.
Here,
it's bad.
I'll tell you
why. Like, well, how about we just onboard more people, and then all of it can do what it does, and people can decide what they want to invest in. I recommended 20% in each of the 5, but I let the onboard decide where they wanted to put their money because it's their fucking money.
Okay, so for me, the way that I look at it is I will be way more confident onboarding people to eHex and probably will not be pushing eHex very hard at all until the person, the largest holder of eHex in the world, until that person either makes a move to time lock it, which I'd be fine with if they did it for yield, drop the yield really low. I'd be fine with it if they did it in time pays me. They could they could fork Time Pays Me for free and not give us any money, even though the fee is like super low. Like you can just make your own version of Time Pays Me and time lock those eHex. But so that would be the equivalent of, the kid gets back up and everybody says that it was shot, but it's like, oh, it was just a movie. It was a fake gun. It was fake blood. Right. And now everybody's like, hey, the firstborn is still alive. Everything's cool. Now we can go back to having Maddie, not worry that there's going to be continued FUD from the world's largest eHex holder. And to me, that's a really high risk to onboard people into, when really we should know one way or the other, whether that FUD is going to continue.
What you're saying in and of itself has a high degree of logic and sensibility to it. There's just one issue.
Hit me.
You cure that FUD, and the new FUD just rolls in to take over.
Ooh.
Well, and the thing is too, is
why would they do the same thing over on the, then you start bringing the OA back into question. Then you say, okay, well, if that's the case, then he needs to do the same thing over on PulseX.
Everybody treats their kids different. They just
and now people say, well,
everyone's got a favorite.
Hex is dead, right? So we reintroduce the OA as a fear factor. And then now nobody wants to buy Hex anymore.
Yeah, and you're counting on a centralized entity to do something.
I'm counting on.
Well, that argument is not you, but that argument
for me. No, well, for me, it's like right now I have proof that there will be continued FUD because there has been continued FUD, right? Like that's not proof, but like I have suspicion or probability that like the FUD will continue because there's a philosophical disagreement between people who are in Hex.
Yeah, but we're talking about
people are having to disagree with the top. It's like going against the top DAI holder on something, and it's like going against the top Bitcoin holder on something. Like you don't go against the Poseidon if you don't have to, and it's better to just not know. It's better to not know which way they're going to go. But if they start hinting one way, then that's part of what we're seeing. And
did you see the tweet? Did you see the tweet a few days ago where he started to equivocate a bit, and he talked about how eHex could do well again in the bull market? Did you not see that portion of that tweet?
Maybe I didn't.
When we finally caught up with.
So here's the thing. So basically, I think that was a big tell. I think that was Richard. Whether it's 3D, 5D, 25D chess, I don't know, but I think that was a big tell that he realized that this backlash against the entire ecosystem was maybe a little more than I expected. And what he had underestimated was the level of ignorance of the investors. And sorry to say it, Mexicans and others, but the reality of the issue is this. How do you cure racism? How do you cure prejudice? It's the same thing. We're talking about the symptom, not the cause. Richard might have lit the fire, but he didn't come and throw gas on it and make it all turn into what it became. It was other people reacting. It was other people reacting. And how do we solve that? We solve that by educating. And we have to have the smarter people that understand what's what and what's real and the difference between a saw and a hammer and a fucking drill press, and let them understand how all of them can work together and how they all work individually, and then let the market fucking decide. And
is that what we're doing right now?
I think that's kind of what we're doing. But it's like what I like about eHex in particular is it's kind of the D5 of DeFi. If you think about it, it's the black sheep now. There is a whole other narrative there that there are people that are kind of leaning into it. I'm not necessarily saying I'm one of those people, but there's that edge case there that there's people that are like, you know what? Hey, if he wants to abandon it, I don't think he abandoned it, but it's like there's people that are thinking that way. And it's like the charts are saying, the charts tell their own story. So it's like there's definitely, the market is starting to decide again. Now, whether or not he puts his thumb back on the scale or his elbow or his chin or whatever, then time will tell. But ultimately, it's only going to have as big of an effect as the level of education of the people that can push the buy or sell button.
Brisology?
I just wanted to get back to Maddie's point. You kind of like, there's the whole saying where you want to go against the crowd. Like you want to be like that counter narrative. Sure, but you also want to swim with the whales.
Yes,
like,
yes.
It's kind of as simple as that. Like if you don't front run the whale money, that's like that's how you make it in cryptos. And if we get a million little fish, that's the same thing as having a big whale.
Okay, Krill.
Exactly.
Yeah. So here's the thing, Toby. Who cares what the founder likes better? They both exist. They're both available on the market. The only reason that matters is you want Richard to buy that bag and not not the other one. So if you're really
for me,
going
that's
into
not the
that-
case. I don't want the OA to dump eHex, is what I'm
No,
saying.
but what I'm saying
He
is
hasn't.
he's not.
He didn't.
He's
Well-
not
He didn't push the
dumping.
sell button.
But I don't
He's
have an
not
expectation
taking-
there. I don't have an
he's not-
expectation there.
But you shouldn't. Look, the
I'm not
phase
talking
before
about you,
anger.
Maddie. I'm talking
Okay.
about the general appeal, right?
Okay.
The people that are saying just buy this one, okay, that are not what Richard said, okay. I said new onboards. Look, I'm not disagreeing with Richard. New onboarders should go to Pulse. If we have the opportunity to talk with them, we should send them to Pulse. We would like the new economic energy to go into Pulse. We would like Pulse to be 40% of all new crypto onboards, like Amazon. Okay. That's what we would like.
Yeah.
Nobody is debating that. Okay. The problem is that we don't speak to everybody. And when you are saying, well, Richard has chosen, well, Richard's not supposed to be buying his own bag. We're
Why
not
not?
buying Richard's coins for Richard to buy them back from us. We're buying
Correct.
them because we believe in those coins and their functionality and what they do.
Code,
Okay?
not the
We
man.
believe in the code.
So when you are talking to the person you are talking to, how the hell do you onboard them into anything that's got the title?
You tell them about all of it. You tell them
Yeah.
about Pulse. You tell them about PulseX. You tell them, and it's a little harder, takes a little longer. There's going to be people that fall by the wayside because they glaze over and they're not going to be in for it. But guess what? Those are the same people that are going to be paper handed anyhow, and probably going to fuck up on their seed phrases and get wrecked in any number of ways.
I don't know.
So what I have found is the smarter people, the largest onboards I have are the ones that go all the way down the rabbit hole with me on everything that I want to teach them. And I tell them about all of them. And I tell them about the risks of all of them. I tell them about what's happened recently and that added element that could be in there because of the reactionary nature of the community. I tell them about all that. And ultimately, the buyer decides, the onboard decides where they put their money. Onboarding to me is not telling someone what to buy. It is educating them about all the RH token options and then let them pick and choose where they want to put it. If I gift something to someone, I do it in equal proportions. Like the example I put up on Twitter a week or so ago. I gave $500 to a buddy of mine, gave him $100 each. And I said, now when your Coinbase money finally comes on over, you decide. You do your research. I've given you the resources. You do your research. You got questions, come back to me. Let's talk about it. It's like that you do what you think is best for you and your family and your future, because it is about self-sovereignty. It is about financial freedom, and it is about, taking care of your own shit. I mean, this is not about anybody else. This is about how do you take care of your own bags, right? And where do you allocate your resources? This is not complicated.
When onboarding, KISS. Keep it simple.
Right. Yeah, and it just gets.
I mean, the thing with the original hacks, okay, is the fact that we have to reinforce the fact that it's not broken. Ethereum's broken. That's the thing. Hex is not broken. Ethereum is broken. It's not usable over there. Just like Mana, just like Gods Unchained, just like a whole handful of other coins that actually had functionality because of that S-load function increase, right? And same thing with Uniswap. Uniswap, you can't really use it for liquidity providing because the fact that they've upped the S-load function. It costs more. You have to have thousands of dollars because it costs you hundreds of dollars to make a liquidity pool and remove that liquidity pool. It's not as liquid as you think it is because you can't utilize it in that manner. So the idea that Hex is broken or there's a bad Hex, there's not a bad Hex. There's a bad chain right now. And
Crispy
they may
had a
correct
point.
that in the future, and we cannot delete it. We cannot delete Hex. You can't tell people to delete Hex. It lives on the blockchain over there forever. It's never going away.
No, delete Hex.
You can't delete it.
So Richard's latest, he's now saying migration. It's on the website, hex.com or whatever. It's like migration of Hex to Pulse chain is complete. That's what it says. Which
Yeah.
That's a rewriting of history.
Yeah, it is.
To my mind, it's
Victor's
it's
right
but
there.
with no
History
explanation.
book.
You know, it's just so hard.
Again,
why can't I don't give a crap about what he says or doesn't say or anything else, but I do see a community that's very, very confused, and they want to know what the hell's what. Why the hell can't he just come back on and go, now listen here, you dum-dums,
Yeah.
good old-fashioned Richard Hart style, and say, here's where it's at. Update your effing worldview again. Instead of just letting us infight. Now, Matty thinks it's a shakeout.
Do that. He did do that, Futurist.
I think it's a shakeout.
Damn it, I missed it. Do it again. It's a shakeout, according to Matty.
It was like last week on this show. He did it.
Oh, damn.
He did it last Tuesday.
Well, I'm sorry I missed it. He has to do it again. What can I say? It's a shakeout.
Yeah.
First of all,
there
ever
was
since
a
the
tweet
outrage
storm last
marketing,
week.
I don't even talk about Richard. Ever since I don't.
Oh, for marketing and onboarding, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
look, you can't control what a person does.
Yeah,
okay,
no.
You can't control what that person's going to say, what they're going to do. You can't predict that. It's completely unpredictable. Matty had a kid on the show, and he had to delete the thing because Richard was being outrageous in front of a kid. You can't predict what a person is going to do. You can predict what a code's going to do. You can predict what a product's going to do. And again, are you selling the product or are you trying to sell the man? That could be a detriment or that could be a positivity, depending on how you want to spend it. But again, I'm not in the market to sell Richard to anybody.
I just don't want to be confused.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I keep flipping. I keep getting confused between the keeping people that are already in our existing on board versus onboarding new people, and I confuse the two topics. And they are two different topics. So when we're talking about how Hex isn't broken and yada yada, that's something that an existing onboard needs to know. Someone you're onboarding from fresh never knew that it might have been broken in the first place. So why should the topic even come up, right?
Exactly.
So I am. My bad. I am confusing.
Skip all the junk information. There's so much information your onboards don't need.
Oh yeah, that's a slippery slope.
And going in, like
it's actually much easier than we make it. All the potential onboards I ever come across, they always say they only ever ask one question: "What should I buy?"
Exactly.
Just keep it that simple.
Exactly. They're not looking at.
Do you know what my answer is to that? Do you know what my answer to this is? And this is why I think I've been successful. It's a lot of words. My answer is a lot of words. It's not buy that one, buy this one. Like Johnny was just talking about, with Ethereum being the part that's the challenge. It's not that Hex on Ethereum is broken. It's not that Hex itself is broken. It's that there's additional challenges for Hex on Ethereum, right? There are use cases still there. It still functions as it should. There are opportunities there for people that now can get shark and whale size bags for the prices that they never thought imaginable before. And if they do what I was talking about before and can roll stakes at this point for $17 for a 90-day stake, and they're staking tens of thousands of dollars of Hex to earn that sweet yield, then why wouldn't they go do it?
They're
gonna do it. I'm not advocating it. I'm just saying, let's be real here. It's like the whole eHex is dead narrative, and the only one we can ever talk about anymore is pHex is retarded.
Yeah, that's the question. That's the question though, because Future Us was asking. He was saying, like, since we did the show last week, Hex.com has been updated to say the migration is complete. There is no eHex. It's only pHex, and I don't think we're all on the same page on that.
Correlated. So now it's decorrelated. Right?
I don't think we're all on the same page.
The official website created by and maintained by the founder explicitly states that the migration is complete. Meaning, I don't need to explain what those words mean to the five of you. We know exactly what that means. It means that there's a new narrative being promoted, for good or for bad or for whatever, that Hex, the real Hex, is only to be thought of as existing on the pulse chain.
Stand up.
That is not factually true, as Johnny's pointing out, as you're pointing out. You can't kill the contract. It doesn't have a kill switch. So there's a discrepancy here between the marketing and the educating the new onboard dum-dums that don't know what the hell's going on. The point of it has to be, surely, to remove the confusion. The tweet that Richard made that set this whole damn thing on fire, which was not its intention, I believe its intention was to just rip the Band-Aid off and just get rid of the confusion once and for all, so we can move the hell on, because we're getting behind on the old schedule here, whatever that is.
It doesn't seem like we're any less confused.
But it is, no, exactly, because unfortunately it is incongruent with the fact that eHex, the contract, is never going anywhere.
Yeah, if you wanted a
What do you
migration,
do with that?
a burn function to burn the coins, you didn't actually have to fork the network. You could have said, if you want your coins over onto the new network, you burn them here and they check out here, and then that would have just been done with. As your
Yeah,
state,
but the problem is I
burn
can't
it,
get my
move it.
coins because I can't unstake them.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So-
So that's, that would be
So
why.
I truly believe what he did was actually the best option for everybody, because it's like now my 15-year stakes, they might be unstakeable on the pulse chain, and I really don't think the 15 years are going to be viable on the Ethereum, even if they do fix
I don't
it,
really
it
think
has
in
to.
15 years that Hex on Ethereum is going to be a penny. And
What's it
I
gonna
certainly don't
be?
think in 15 years that it's going to be a zero, because first of all, it's on Ethereum. It can't have a zero cost because it's DeFi. You
I
can't
agree.
just delist it. You can't just make it go away. Uniswap has already listed it, unlisted it, and off their front end, they tried to make it go away. The founder just dropped a nuclear bomb on it, unintentionally, perhaps, but he dropped a nuclear bomb on it. It's still a quarter of a penny, which is way higher than it was during the adoption amplifier. So how much more can you nuke it? That's my question.
A lot, I think.
Okay, well,
Unfortunately.
then nuke away.
Well, that's a social experiment in itself, an opportunity for one right there. How far down can you actually send a coin in order to
It had
make-
supported
Well,
a third of a penny for years,
Yep.
and now I think that's broken.
It depends. Right
You
now,
tell me.
inefficiencies
Well, we
in the market
we
right
don't-
now.
we
I'm
don't
not
have
gonna
a
get into the
functional congruent
inefficiencies in the
narrative.
market, but
at the
it moves between. It's still moving. It's still trying to get back up to a penny.
Yeah.
It's
We
still,
don't
it's
have
still
a congruent
spiking, and it's
functional
still getting
narrative.
sold down.
We'll
It's
come up
still
with something.
spiking, getting sold down.
Yeah.
It's gonna go where-
Future
it's
us,
gonna go
I
where it's
think a
gonna
lot of
naturally
people
go.
don't want a fluid, congruent narrative. I think
Ooh.
Well, they
Richard
don't
Hart's,
work up
I
to
think
full.
Richard Hart's ecosystem has been plagued with haters and fudsters and people who just hate Richard
Yeah.
Hart, and they just want to rile up,
Yeah. That's
Can we get a
bullshit.
shakeout without
Come on.
shaking out all the people who are here with us tonight? Like, please?
all the people shaking the tree fell off the planet.
I got my copies. I got my copies,
I got my
and I knew
copy.
I knew the chance I was taking buying eHex after the fork.
I just know when the bull market comes, this shit's gonna pump hard AF.
Yeah.
So
I'm under
I
the
just
Bitcoin theory,
want to
Bruce.
worry about it, guys. You're all gonna be fine. BlackRock is our new sack daddy. All right.
I don't know, man. The 80 million I was going to have,
Just
now it's
don't
only going to
worry
be
about
10
it.
million. Or 8
New
million.
Sack Daddy,
Okay.
same as the old Sack Daddy.
Richard Hart didn't tank Bitcoin with his tweet. He didn't kill Ethereum, and yet those both went down very hard. So, like, Hex went down with the rest of the market. So,
Well,
chill
What? So
out.
that was his fault too?
So
Yeah, of course
well,
it's his
he did
fault.
say double the coins, and that's changed, and we haven't gotten like him addressing that, right? Like that's not been addressed. So some people are calling it gaslighting. I don't call it gaslighting. I just because we don't.
Telling
doesn't
people
work
to
for us.
update their worldview to the worldview that I now have is me
It's
gaslighting.
incongruent.
w-
Yeah. It's being way overused.
It depends whether you want to, it's glass half empty, glass half full. It's like focus on all the crap that's gone wrong, or focus on how we're going to make it right. But then how do you make it right if you can't acknowledge what went wrong? And Richard appears to me to be just bypassing all of that. It doesn't matter. Arguing about it's all just a big waste of time. I'm just going to state the way it needs to be and wait for all the noise to settle down, and all the new people will see what's written on the website now, and all the rest will fall in line eventually. And not involve himself in the argument and all this mess that we're going through right now.
I just want to say, if you guys don't think the bull market is going to pump all of our bags, get out.
Richard himself said, even shitcoin's pumping a bull.
Yeah.
Hey, let me take a big counterpoint. Maybe I'll get a lot of hate for this, but jumping on some of the points Johnny made earlier, I, for one, believe that the whole push behind Ethereum and the fees will not be fixed. Maybe it will be, and I'll be surprised, but it won't be fixed because it doesn't need to be fixed. Ethereum is going the way of Bitcoin. It's becoming institutionalized. If it's not this cycle, it's going to be the next cycle.
The fees aren't actually the problem. They're just a proxy to get us the hell out of there, get out of Dodge before it's too late.
Right. And so that being the case, right, kind of like taking the lead off of some of the things we've heard from Richard, why would we support them? Now, listen, my Hex bags got cut in a third, right? Just like everybody else's in value on paper.
Because of Hart's Law, right? To answer the question, Hart's Law, that's why we'd support it. Because when eHex went down,
but I mean, why wouldn't we just blacklist it and blackball it? Now, I got some arguments why that, but like I said, I'm taking a counterpoint here. Why would we tell everybody that's in Hex to spend $300,000 plus in gas the rest of this month, just ending stakes? Why wouldn't we say go put that into Pulse
because
Chain?
I own eHex bags and I want them pumped.
That's right. That's it, and that's the point, right? I mean, and so like, of course, I got bags there too,
and I ain't moving.
Yeah, I got it.
What am I gonna transfer over? You look at the charts. How many people can actually emergency unstake and be profitable? No one. So pretty much, right, that's where we're at. The migration's complete.
No, for Quattro Syncros,
no one ending the stakes are going to be profitable. They're not going to have any money by the time they're done paying their emergency unstake fee and their bridging fee. They are not going to have any economic energy to move, so you're just stuck with it. So you might as well just write that money off as gone. And if you have been,
by the way,
eHex will go up via bonded liquidity. eHex will go up via bonded liquidity.
Yep.
There will be value there.
Yep.
You will be able to transfer it. Don't try and FUD people.
But I think
I'm not flooding people. There's no point in doing any of that now. We had people that were emergency unstaking to bridge the traded to 1 ratio, and they literally got nothing.
Yeah, that's dumb. I mean, it's dumb for lots of reasons, not the least of which being that the fork was the transfer over. Hello. Yeah. Yeah. Look, I mean, if the thing gets really unpopular on Ethereum, like it actually already is, the liquidity goes all the way down. The lower liquidity means that so long as Hart's Law still exists 10 years from now, it can correct at whatever ratio in an instant because there's no liquidity to push around. And if you're there at the right time, then maybe you can end. I mean, whatever. All that's bonus, though. What matters from a hex stake point of view is that all your stakes are safe and sound sitting on Pulse Chain. All the rest of this, I mean, I hate it all as much as the next guy. Matty might be sitting there going, wait a minute, this is the opposite of what you've been saying on our private phone calls. You said that shit all sucks and blah, 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 blah. And then, yeah, it does. I hate it. But the reality is that the stakes are safe. The big question emotionally that I struggle with, and that I'm sure some people watching may struggle with, is, well, wait a minute. If one tweet can cause that big of a reaction by this founder one time, then who's to say he can't do it again some other time when I also happen to be on holiday or drunk or whatever, and it happens again.
At a community event.
Yeah, talks about a PP or something or other, right? Well, yeah, but how is that different than any other day, really? Some unexpected thing happens in the crypto market and tanks the price. It happens all the damn time. It's just because I can point at Richard and go, you son of a whatever, Sorry, Richard's mum. Nearly didn't mean to. Didn't do it. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, but I still personally hate the whole damn thing, and I'm out until I settle down. And it's been
you should know.
Over it.
You should know. You know, the reason God gave Moses tablets was because he didn't trust him to just read it once and then remember it. Right. So sometimes we have to go back to what
drop those things on his toes and laugh.
Toby posted this in the chat, in the private chat, so it's helpful. This is like a post from last week when Richard was tweeting when we were having a discussion on our stream live. And, you know, one of the points that he makes there is maybe in the bull market, eHex will get pulled along, but the higher its price, the more economic energy will be lost to ETH fees. So maybe that is like what you need to know to be able to think that there isn't some death wish for eHex.
He just needs to come up with a better freaking argument than that. Why can't he just tell us what's actually going on? Ethereum.
It's not the fees. It can't be the exactly what he described.
Fees. He needs to bring privacy or whatever, and all the things that crypto was supposed to be to Pulse Chain to keep the dream of Satoshi alive. That's what's actually going on here. Why do we beat around the bush with all this other crap? It's got nothing to do with any of that shit.
What other crap? The fees for unstaking.
Talk about what the goals actually fucking are. I'll tell you why. Because that's an expectation. So we're kind of caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah, you're answering your own question, and you're also confusing things a bit. And so far as it's almost like you're asking the very thing that we said was a bad idea, which is, you know, when people say which coin to buy. You know what I mean? It's like you're wanting an answer to him to just point and be like, buy this and don't buy that, and be really super crystal clear about it. And it's like,
I was intentionally going round and round and round and round in circles.
Also,
remember, demonstrate that is
Richard
the nature of this fucking game.
Please, real quick. Richard has to do this the hard way, or the legal way, and doing it the legal way is the hard way. He trust me when Richard has said it himself. He wishes he could just come out here and just give you guys a bunch of promises and a roadmap, and he would be able to onboard a lot more people with that. But he has to do this the legal way, and and unfortunately, it's the harder way. And we gotta just figure things out.
He can renounce his U.S. citizenship and move to Afghanistan and fucking live in a bunker or do whatever, blah 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 blah. But
I hope you don't have an expectation of all that.
He's not, but that's my point. It doesn't really matter. He's going to do whatever he does, and we need to just look at the products, look at the projects, look at the markets that
sell the product, not the man.
Exactly.
If you want to the product you like, that's fine. It doesn't have to be a personification. Doge founder sold all his Doge, said he fucking hates it. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
Really well for Doge, really bad for the founder.
The way we're going.
Bitcoin moved on. It still has a value. Ethereum Classic, even though it's not as expensive as Ethereum, it did not take the economic energy away from Ethereum. Ethereum still went on and did just fine. It still has a value, even though nobody's using it for its intended purpose. It still has a value, and it's worth more today than it was, a few years back. Okay, so
100 years from now, when Richard gets hit by the whatever it is that takes him out in his earthly body, deceases.
Not going to happen.
We'll start preaching that our bags will pump as soon as the return of Richard occurs. Just wait.
Now look. I have been putting a new narrative out there by popular request that the origin address is controlled by AI, and the fact is, you can't prove to me that it's not. So if people want to buy AI coins, they can buy Pulse and Hex and PulseX and maybe even a little bit of ink for Brisology.
I gotta go get my deep brain chain out. I think you're right about all the rage. Let me see if I can find those.
Thank you.
Oh wait, they listed it off an exchange. It no longer exists. Never mind.
If you guys want to buy the #1 meme coin on the Pulse chain, just buy a little bit of ink, okay? It supports the farmers. who provide liquidity.
You guys got me into that. You guys onboarded me into Ink,
which is the backbone of Hexaco.
I got a little farm going there.
I think the farming out competing hex staking short term disencourages the use of the long term mindset. I think it's chasing. I think a lot of people are just selling the ink back down as soon as he pumps it.
Well, you got to remember,
a lot of people are waiting for that.
There's a lot more risk with farming than there is with single-sided staking of hex.
That's and the other thing is you got to understand those farms can change. So hex is immutable code. The farms can change. The ratios can change. The payouts can change. They're controlled by a master chef program on any DEX.
The pulse chain validator code can change.
Yep. Validator codes can change. Yep. So, I mean, hex is the only immutable smart contract code that always does what it says it's going to do, which is
because
it's AI controlled from the beginning.
So anyway, no, it's just people are chasing the new things right now, and eventually, we're going to have to see how this works out. Does longer pay better? That's the question.
I would like to know that.
Longer. Are we looking at 1 month time frames, 1 year time frames? Are we looking at a series of years? So I'm looking at a series of years. So I'm not looking at, if price A and price B, wait, I got to reverse it. If price you buy here and it ends up here, do you really care what happens in the middle? Not much at all. So you don't have to accept today's prices as the value for what you take. It's like a pawn shop. Sure, you're going to get less. You're going to sell quicker, and you're going to get less because you're selling at a pawn shop. But that pawn shop owner knows value better than you do. That's why they're rich and you're not. They're willing to wait. They're willing to wait to get their price. So you can do what you want with your money. It's your money. You can put your time frame wherever you want to put your time frame. But hex is for longer time frame people, and not to expect instant returns. And also, you need to understand that a new blockchain takes 1 to 2 years to be mature and really take off. And I'm really sorry that a lot of people thought they were just going to all come in at the same time and get a 10x, but that's just not how things work.
Not to mention the fact that of course that pulse chain exists to lower the fees, and then everybody's like pulse to the moon. It's like
that raises the fees. Yes.
What is wrong with you?
So to recap for the chat, by the way, you guys have all been spinning mad truth. I dig it.
Digging it.
So I said that there was no way to disprove that AI could have been used with the OA. And so therefore, that means that the OA is AI. And that's my source is logic, right? So you can believe it or not.
God, right?
But if that's something that people need to hear in order to get into crypto, look, all these AI cryptos, they have nothing to do with AI.
No.
At best, maybe they have a middleman who's like pretending to use AI. So how is Hex better? There's nobody pretending. We're just making stuff up, and we're being honest about it.
You remember the .com bubble? There were stocks that rallied crazy just by putting a .com.
This is our .com moment.
There's still in New Zealand. I'm pretty sure they're still around. There's a company that specializes in repairing cell phones. I think it was, and they were literally called like cellphonerepair.com or some bloody thing, and they still have that name to this day, I think, unless they've finally gone out of business. It's hilarious. But anyway, whatever. AAI, A squared I, artificial intelligence.
All I want to tell everyone is that, man, in the bull markets, our bags are going to get pumped. It's coming. It's coming.
Man,
and this is the right space to be in.
When the singularity arrives, it's not going to matter.
This is not a rug pull economy, or at least the RH assets are not rug pulls. So you don't have to like worry about like, oh, I got to get in with this like special crypto, just to make it. The bull run will pump our bags. RH assets are not rug pulls. This is the safe spot. This is why I onboard people into the RH assets. Thank you, Crypto Ewok. I love your show, by the way. Crypto Ewok, honestly, you guys and then Corey Geary's show, you two are my two favorite shows. Outside of this one, of course.
I was just gonna say, man, careful.
Here's the
Hey,
thing, guys.
we got
gotta
Dip Catcher
stop-
in the chat. Shout out to you, man. You made my favorite non-RH
Danny.
coin, which is Desi.
We gotta stop badgering each other too. Oh, you should have known. Oh, you should have got the clue. No, it wasn't that clear, guys.
Hell no.
The old should have known shit. You are badgering people and making them feel worse about their situation than they are already in, and that's wrong. You're not going to win friends and influence people by doing that. Part 2, promote the product, not the man. The product you can speak for, the man you can't. Okay? There's these just simple things. And ask yourself, am I creating division and confusion? Or am I encouraging positive behavior? These are things you have to ask yourself if you're going to stream and you're going to do stuff. You have to ask yourself if you're causing more conflict than you are whatever. And me, I was pissed off about a lot of stuff. I just dropped. I'm not doing the Twitter. I'm not doing streams. I'm here tonight. I'm hanging out with Maddie tomorrow, so I'm kind of here as a
thanks, Johnny.
Group.
I get too confused, too riled up, and just too confused. Can't even think of the word. I'm so confused to even risk trying to stream personally. I don't know how Maddie and some of the others do it. I really don't.
Well, you guys are all old enough. You remember Lost Boys when they dropped off the train tracks and they're holding on the bars there, right? And it's like, don't let go. Hold on. I feel like we're shaking. I'm just kind of sitting there going, yeah. What you got? I'm not looking at anything in this short little time frame or the training narratives or it's all over or it's dead or whatever. Look, said from the beginning, and I've said this a billion times, and everybody skips past this part. This is for money you don't need right now to send to your future self. Be in a position where you don't need to sell, so you have the luxury of waiting to see how it turns out. Your bets have been made. Your terms have been set. Ride this shit out to your terms, and then you can bitch about it then. If it costs you too much to unstake or you didn't make any money, you can complain about it then. Don't complain about it now. Don't be giving up on yourself and the commitments that you set with yourself just because somebody said something. Somebody's always going to say something, right? Richard, again, is not the market. The market are the people that are coming in that are going to purchase. You shouldn't be dependent on Richard to purchase anything. If that's why you're here, go buy something else.
Yeah.
You continue to call it the RH ecosystem.
I heard Charlie Lee was going to buy back all the Litecoin.
Yeah.
No way. You're joking, right?
I'm totally joking. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad I didn't have an expectation there.
You can probably afford it. Have you seen that chat?
Glad I got out of that. I sold all of that for Hex.
Dollar cost crypto would be happy to hear that if it was true.
Right.
He used to be called Litecoin Moses.
Yep. That's a fact. That's how I first came across him. I was a big Litecoin guy back in the day.
I'm not just surprised Litecoin doesn't have a bigger presence in the crypto community landscape.
What was the first part of that? I missed it.
Yeah, so I'm kind of surprised that Litecoin doesn't have a bigger presence in the current crypto landscape.
It's like silver to Bitcoin's gold.
I always bought that narrative. I liked it.
Yeah, I did for a while until Charlie dumped on our heads.
Hydrochloric acid.
Yeah. So do you guys have final points to make?
Yeah, what's going on with Hex Fire?
Point. My final point is what I've been saying is that the bull market is our pump daddy. It's gonna pump us so hard that we're gonna say, "Stop pumping us, get off," and it's gonna be awesome. So don't worry,
never enough.
We're gonna be fine. I know there's a little bit of red in the markets and there's a little bit of fudsters going throughout. We're gonna be fine. All right. You're gonna be fine. Just you gotta be in this for the long haul.
I sold on my crypto.
That's all I
And
that's all I really gotta say.
The thing I'd like to add is I don't think we're at the worst of it, because if you look at the cycle with even that fractal that I've been talking about for months now for Bitcoin, I said it was going to get to 74K by the halving. We hit it before that. We missed by about $100 on Bitcoin, and we're starting to come down a little bit. We're still within that pattern. However, the last two previous cycles, I don't know about the ones before that. I'd have to double check. 39% drawdown after the halving.
Bitcoin, yeah.
So if Bitcoin draws back down to 45, 48K, what do you think everything else is going to do? It's just relative, right? It happens all the time. It has no bearing on what the value of what the code of what you have works.
I would expect
it doesn't work.
The percentage drawdown will probably be bigger this time because the run up was higher. So the percentage drawdown.
I don't think so. I don't think so. I see a ton of support around 46, 48,000. It's like it could not even get down that low because of all the other interest in it. But it'll be interesting to see. But if we get that kind of correction prior to the typical parabolic run for Bitcoin in this bull cycle, then everything's going to get hurt. So just like hang on, the worst might not be over. Just be aware and look for supports along the way. DCA responsibly.
39%, there'll be a news event to spike it lower. I'd bet money on it if I had any. If I hadn't owed the bank so much. Final points.
Future.
It's okay to be confused, I guess, because I'm confused as all hell, and I seem to be basically still alive and doing okay. So hang in there.
Yeah.
And I'm mad. I'm really mad, and both kinds, but mostly the anger kind.
I'm not going to take it anymore.
I've had it, man. The whole thing of complacency. Here's a point though. Like one of the phases, if not the phase, before anger in the Wall Street cheat chart thing is complacency. I think I might have realized during the stream, actually, I've never really understood exactly what complacency means, but I think that we got too comfortable as a market, all of us, not just Hexicans or whatever, thinking we knew the way shit was going to play out. That's what the complacency was. And then all of a sudden it rains on the parade and the rug gets pulled out and no one knows what the hell's going on anymore. And I guess that's what triggers the anger. You learned something today with me. You're welcome.
Boom.
Crispy.
Yo. It's all gonna work out, man. Well, we'll figure it out. I'm pretty excited for the future. I will say this, and this would be maybe this won't be helpful to some people, but hey, for you folks who may have only gotten exposure to eHex only during this period of time, one of the ways to move forward is to get some exposure, out there in Pulse Chain. And the fiat values are down. Good time to pick it up.
So here's my fun one for the day. Is for those out there that's saying it was obvious. No, it was obvious to you because you didn't know the 100 other variables that could have happened.
Confirmation bias.
You're looking at very simplistic terms. It isn't obvious if you're actually understanding the level of complexity that is actually there. And I think you're belittling people that actually have thought about additional variables. And I think it's really disgusting because a lot of people really believed. A lot of people really had their ideas of what they thought. And, maybe it didn't work out as well as if they would have gone the other way. But I don't like this parading around on other people's heads like you knew all along. You had just as much chance of being wrong as everybody else. And I think it's disgusting behavior in the Hex community when people do that. Number one. Number
Celebrate the win, don't rub it in.
Yeah. No. Number two, nobody knows where the price is going on anything. We're lucky any of this stuff works at all. Okay.
It's true.
So staking allows you to have a bag so that when we do find out, you'll have a bag when we get there. And that's it.
Nice. Did everybody do their final point except me, or do we still have another one?
I don't understand the meaning of the phrase "final point," but
yeah, that's fair.
It's like it's saying that we're wrapping up the show. We'll be back next week. We're here every week, that kind of thing. Like, almost at 3 hours.
Can I quote Richard Hart from the movie?
I get to make my final point. If you have more final points, I guess you can.
Well, it's just a quote from the movie that I love, that I watched with you a couple different places.
I like it too. Go for it.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to be loved. Don't you want to be loved?
Yeah, not that one. Do not use as a proxy for your own due diligence someone else's confidence.
Because otherwise, you end up trusting guys like me, and you're going to get the crap scammed out of you.
Yeah.
But if you're stupid, you have to rely on someone smart, which is stupid, which proves that you're stupid. So you had to rely on someone smarter to get the smart thing in the first place.
I thought we were going to have a moment of clarity, but
it's the same point. I'm still confused.
Not on this one, Maddie.
Okay, so
green candle.
I promised or like told somebody that I would give an update on the badges, because people are noticing that the pulse chain badges are back, and they're noticing that not everybody has gotten them back yet, and I haven't expanded the program. And basically what I want to do is I want to just give this like 1-minute tutorial. It's like, part of the problem is that Twitter is still dealing with old code that was written when it was controlled by somebody who was not Elon Musk, who was trying to like censor things. Okay. And so like, this guy has read the open source code and like has identified parts of the code in the Twitter algorithm that get you shadow banned for doing certain things. Elon has said publicly that he wants to like remove that part of the code and he wants to fix it and make it better, but it hasn't gotten there yet. So the reason why we lost the pulse chain badges is because there were some people, I believe, who had accounts that like had a really bad social credit score, basically. And it's not because they're bots, and it's not because they're bad people at all. It's literally just because they were falling into these shadow ban rules that were established, for the whole purpose of censorship. And so the problem with that is that because the code is not fixed, you can't just go from having a good ratio of followers to people you follow. You can't just go from that and then fix it by just unfollowing a bunch of people. Like, that gets you blacklisted even more if you try to fix some of the things that are wrong with Twitter. And so
Twitter code base, by the way, is the quintessential definition of spaghetti code. If you want to look it up, millions and millions of lines of like, oh my God.
And so speaking of a miracle that anything works. So like right now, just the focus is, I didn't want to be the person who had to be telling people like, oh, your account was shadow banned, or, you broke these rules that nobody agrees with. But, right now, basically my goal is still in the future, I think I'll be around a long time. I hope so. And so I'm hoping that someday we can get badges to way more people than have them now. But now really the focus has been on just getting the badges back and keeping them. And so, it's still a great tool. It helps to defeat imposters, which there are more of every day. And it still helps to 2x your views. And not everybody needs to have a badge. It's like some people think it's cool, some people don't. That's fine. But at the end of the day, I would love to add more people in the future. For now, I think we've been lucky to be able to get back the program that we lost. And so far, it seems like it's been a success, other than being able to include all the people who deserve it. And so going forward, I hope that changes. And, I think Funding Jim was interacting with this super popular guy that figured all this out. And basically the idea was that Twitter might fix this soon because Elon's been promising it. So there might, instead of people trying to start new accounts and all that, the experts are recommending that you just sit tight and keep doing what you're doing. and then the system could fix itself. So that being said, I hope that's a good explanation.
That was a good explanation.
I wouldn't hold your breath. That code base is proving extremely challenging, but at least I tried.
Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly what to tell people other than it sucks that Twitter is broken, and hopefully it'll get fixed someday.
Got rescued in the nick of time, in my opinion.
Where are we migrating to
Thanks,
from
Elon.
Twitter?
Twitter, X. We're migrating to X.
Real life.
there it is.
Yeah,
Migration
real
is
life.
complete. The migration is complete.
Onboarding Wall Street. So
Yeah. Did we bring the full system state? I lost track.
So thank you all for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. I thought we had a really great show. Hit the like and subscribe button as we're hitting 3 hours here. Follow everybody in the links in the description below. Until next time, stay wisely, my friends, and peace out. I still have to upload the...
This is where we keep talking because it
Can't
sounds
flex
funny.
again. It hurts.
Wah, wah, wah,
Thanks for coming on, Johnny. My hair, everybody. The voice of sanity in my head that I could get you to shut up.
I don't know about that.
I love all of you.
I try.
I love you, and I love you, and I love you.
Not
I
you.
love all of
Not
you.
you.
We
I
build a
love
bridge
Johnny.
to each other.
And we're out.
And we're
You
out.
guys miss that every show.
Every show.
Every show.
Wah, wah,
When
wah.
we're wrecked.
Bull market will pump your bags. You fucking
Even
crybabies.
our shitcoin, our beloved shitcoin.